Merry Christmas, everyone, and I hope you're having a wonderful time. I know I am, as I've been given a rather fine bottle of brandy, which I intend to enjoy while JT and the Who-tastic panel review the latest episode of RTD Disney Who. Well, looks like 9 previous episodes wasn't enough for them. So, without further ado, let's see what they made of it. Was it an overstuffed turkey? Let's find out.
Joy to the World takes to the airwaves on BBC One with only 4.11 million on the overnights. Merry Christmas, everybody! Woo!
Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas.
Here we are. Hello, hello. Welcome to Who's Views Reviews. It is indeed Boxing Day. It's the 26th of December, 2024, and we have just recovered from another episode. I say recovered. For another episode from RTD2. Disney Who, whatever you want to call it. Yes, Joy to the World. As you can see, I am joined this evening by Paul, Kirsty, Jodie, and third Dr. Ian. Guys, it's lovely to see you. How are you all?
Not too bad. How are you all?
Well, That's a great question, isn't it? Great to see everybody in the chat. Hello, everybody. Yes, we're going to be coming to you very, very shortly with this. I'm sure you've all got a lot to say about this nonsense that we actually put the dead on the telly last night. I can't wait to see what you've all got to say about it. Can't wait to see what these 4 have got to say about it. Just to point out that this is where we're getting the figures from today. It's the BARB, as usual, for our overnight report. This was tweeted this morning from Lizo Mazimba. And as you can see, Doctor Who there, 4.11 million, the 6th watched show on television that day. And as you can see there as well, if you're in the UK, you will know this. A bad day for ITV. Interesting.
Have you got the ratings for Bullseye? I'd be interested to see that. So.
I actually do. 5.25.
And it was a repeat, wasn't it?
It was a repeat.
Yeah.
5.25. Oh, dearie me, dearie me, dearie me. Yes, so I want to start straight away as well. Thank you so much to Digby Strawbridge, our pal Digby, who's given us a super chat. Digby, Merry Christmas. Thank you very much. And he's saying, hi, folks. Sadly, I can't join you live. Well, what a cheek. but just wanted to wish you a happy St. Stephen's Day and thanks for watching this bloody dross. You are very welcome. Thank you so much indeed for that. Really, really appreciate it. But yeah, happy Christmas to you. Happy Christmas to you all. Jacob RM is with us. I watched your stream from the other day earlier. That would have been our Headlines Christmas special on Sunday. Nice guesswork regarding the ridiculous ending. Yeah, we got it right, didn't we? Because as we were talking about the episode and as we were looking at some of the previews to this thing, it was suggesting that a lot of people would be upset by the ending. And we thought, oh, it's bound to be something to do with Bethlehem with a star in the sky or something like that. They are going to go there. There was a string of things that I found to be quite ridiculous, though, guys. Who wants to start us off?
Well, can I start? I've got extensive notes here.
Oh.
I have to say, I thought it was wonderful. There were great action sequences, great homages to films and TV and things. The emotion was superb. Oh, hold on, this is my review of Wallace and Gromit. Sorry.
Yeah.
I thought it was terrible, absolutely terrible. The worst thing for me was the pandemic references. I thought that was really insensitive, awful stuff.
God. Yeah. They had to go there on these sort of things, didn't they? I mean, why couldn't they just leave it alone? Why?
Yeah, I mean, it would have been interesting to see him go up those stairs and come out at the birth of fundamentalist Islam, but I don't think the BBC had the balls for that. So let's just take an easy swipe. But I mean, right at the very end, it was irritating for minor little things as well, which I'll come to later. But right at the very end, Bethlehem, year 0001. Well, if they'd been there 12 months after he was born, it would be year 0001, wouldn't it? But as he's born, it's year 0000. When you're born, you're not 1 year old. You're nothing, and you're a year old later. So they even got that wrong. I mean, I don't know who's. Well, I do know who's producing stuff like this, and the surname.
Who would that be?
I don't know, but I think his surname really rhymes with Lookwit. I just give up.
Oh, goodness me. Oh, good. There's lots of chat coming in from you all already. Thank you so much for joining us, and happy Christmas to you all. We've got this is Lisa Persby saying hi to us. Hiya. Barry's saying to us, I didn't watch it myself. I suspect I'm not going to regret this decision. Salutations all.
I watched it with my wife, and she said, "We'll never get that hour back again." You realise that, don't you?
It's lucky she said only that, because it could have been the grounds for much worse.
It could have been grounds for divorce. I'm telling you. Yeah.
Oh, go on then, Kirst. Joe, what did you guys think about this?
Oh, well, yeah, you go, George. You go, Kirsty. Honestly, you go.
Remember, boys and girls, remember when we first started doing Christmas specials, and you'd get that excitement, and you would be itching to organise the day to sit down and watch it, and everyone would be anticipating what's going on because of probably what had happened with previous series. I was just over it. I was not excited. I would just watched it just because of the drama and the tea and the banter that I have with all of you in the chat. I am over it. It was for me, it was quite pretentious. We didn't need to do the Star of Bethlehem, the Coo stuff, the Rona stuff. This is escapism for a lot of people, and probably a lot of people who went through a rough time during that time. I don't want, me included, I don't want to be watching a programme and having to be reminded of stuff that went on X, Y, and Z years ago, and know people or friends of friends who went through it. This is escapism for a lot of people. You can take current state of affair events, twist it, and do your thing. But it being so close to home, I just was a bit disrespectful, a bit not needed. Anita, she's a cool character. I liked her. She was the best part. She was really the lady who played her, very talented, and I can see why people are saying that she's a highlight. She should have been really the full kind of partner to him during this episode. But all in all, I was getting with the scenes with the chair session that you would have with Anita. It was reminding me of The Power of Three. I think it was the episodes where Matt, with the 11th Doctor, is staying with Amy and Rory.
Yeah.
And he's playing on the Wii, and he's having that kind of home living on Earth sort of thing. And that's been done before.
Several times now in this new
Several
version.
times, yeah.
I was just bored seeing that being there on that worn the t-shirt. As we'd said on Sunday, you can do episodes Christmas special and not really make it Christmassy. You can do it on a kind of it being on Christmas Day. So yeah, I'm indifferent to it, bored of it. I hope they're kicking their pants, seeing the overnight scores, and yeah, let's get the therapy cracking for May, boys.
Yeah, I know what you mean about that. I mean, I'm struggling actually to retain the information of what happened again yesterday, because it just seemed to be an absolute continuation of where we've just come from.
Did we really need the year the Doctor spends with Anita? Was that just padding? Was it what's the point of that? Really, honestly,
Guy Fox thing when they're talking about boyfriends, I just rolled my eyes.
Yeah. You could hear the collective sanity of fandom rolling their eyes at that point. Glenn Piper's saying, hi all, what did we think? Well, that's what we're here to tell you about, Glenn. Stay with us. I've literally just watched it. I'm confused. I didn't understand the story, so I need to watch it again. I don't think you do, because the story was absolute nonsense. And Domgo was saying 4.11 is that low? Yes, it is. Now, although it's higher than the 2 point whatever it got for the Sutek thing, what was that called? Empire of Death, as we reported on our headline show a couple of days ago. It's the lowest Doctor Who Christmas special to date. So yeah, it is low, isn't it, Jode?
Yeah, it's low. I mean, it wasn't as bad as I was expecting it to be. But then I have seen Space Babies, so you know that's all relative.
Space
I
Babies.
kind of went round the family because I find it really interesting to ask people who aren't like a semi-obsessive nature like mine about what they felt about it. And one of my daughters just was like, it was okay, which is really not great, I'm going to be honest.
Okay.
And my mum, this was really interesting. My mum, who's really not a sci-fi fan at all, just went, oh, I expected to be scared, and it really wasn't scary. And then she went, maybe the dinosaur. I said, yeah, but not really, though. And she went, no, not really.
No. She was possibly trying to be nice there for your sake, maybe.
Possibly.
Possibly.
I don't know. It just seemed a bit like a hot mess. And there was bits that upset me because I didn't... It used to be that when Doctor Who had a story, it did pretty much make sense from beginning to end to some degree. There are the odd classic stories that don't, but most of them do have a thread that runs through it, and it's a story. The one that upset me about this is going to probably not anyone else that it bothered, but the Time Hotel, right?
Yeah.
Why were the people checking into the Time Hotel from the various times? Surely the people checking in would be from the future visiting the various times. I didn't get that at all.
Well, I thought, Jodie, they were dressed like that to go into time, because they had a Mr. Ben reference, but the only thing I actually liked was the Mr. Ben.
Yeah, I saw the Mr. Ben.
Yeah, I think that's why they were dressed. I think they were going to that time, I think. I could
Right, that makes sense.
I could be making it up, I don't know.
I'm obviously a bit thick. It didn't
No, not at all.
No.
I think I'm making this bit up. I'm sure to try and justify it, but yeah.
Well, I don't know. I just found the Time Hotel had so much potential, and then it was really quite dull. It wasn't very exciting.
No.
Yeah.
And I wasn't scared, not one bit. And I couldn't even see myself as a child being scared.
No. Well, I mean, I don't think this version of Doctor Who is going to scare people away. We were all scared.
But
with
it's not really Doctor Who. That was one thing my family also said. My family also said, it's just not Doctor Who. And I went, no, that's it, actually. That is it on the nail. It's just not Doctor Who.
Totally agree.
There's no jeopardy. There's nothing at stake. It's just meh. Yeah.
And the fact is, as we said in our reviews earlier in the year on the nonsense that was out earlier in the year, the fact he doesn't have an identifiable outfit does not help, because the Doctor just wasn't there. I mean, he spent a year, as far as like looking like a tradie. Do you know what I mean? In a polo shirt and jeans. That's not the Doctor. Yeah. Poor Tom Sashworth, thank you so much for your super chat. Bad ending, in my opinion. Yeah. Jesus out of Who. It was so predictable, wasn't it? Really,
it really was.
Really, you're getting more and more. I mean, God, what a boring episode this was. Completely another. Thanks, Paul. And John saying, I was way off with the viewing figures, but did anyone actually watch it all the way through? I have to admit, I did fall asleep at one point.
No, I didn't.
I was itching to turn over to Bullseye, but I wasn't allowed. So
I was like this, guys. I was starting to go.
No, you see, I was sensible. I fell asleep after the meal and then woke up for talk.
It was just shocking, though. I mean, the whole episode. I mean, did anyone else notice any other episodes in this particular thing? I mean, you've got the whole thing towards with Joy there. That was very like Astrid in the Voyage of that. Yeah. And then there's that thing, go and find someone. You need someone. Oh, how many times have we heard that?
I also feel the trivialization of the people he meets as well. You know, when he spent that year with that person, what was her name? God, my brain. She was really good. Kirsty, she was the one you mentioned.
Anita.
Right, when he spent a year with Anita, the bit that really bothered me was he seems to discard people who much more easily than anyone else. And that kind of didn't sit well with me either. And offering her a job in the Time Hotel, that's not really like, great, I've got a new job in the middle of nowhere with no friends and no family. I don't know. I know. It didn't strike me as like the way they wanted it to strike you, I suppose. I just feel it's all about having a companion, but then he can ditch the companion as easily as...
I felt sorry for... Taj Travels is saying to us, I was looking at my phone during the bit where he was stuck on Earth for a year. I just hate all that soap opera stuff. You guys all know that. I can't stand it. And it says, Sydney Rough Diamond is hello. He's saying to us, it was just nonsensical cartoon. I felt very sorry for Nicola Coughlan, because there was all this fuss about Nicola Coughlan being in this and being the new sort of companion, the one-off companion in this thing. And she was hardly in it.
No,
Yeah, exactly.
she wasn't. She is very good, and she was horribly underused.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what was that about? Anita was more of the one-off companion in this, I
Yeah,
thought.
definitely.
What are you doing? Well, you've obviously just gone for the Bridgerton fans again. We want the Bridgerton stuff in, which is possibly why this is on a par with Rogue.
But Bridgerton fans aren't going to be Doctor Who fans. They're not the same demographic. Apart from me, I'm weird, but they're not the same demographic at all. I watch that rubbish, but it's complete escapist rubbish, and I don't want the two to cross over at all. Like, I'll watch Bridgerton once, I'll never watch it again. I'll go back to things like Doctor Who, well, classic Who anyway, and earlier New Who, but I probably won't ever watch Bridgerton again. We'll watch it once for a laugh, Richard and I, to zone out,
Well.
What I didn't like about it particularly was the Doctor trying to release Joy with these handcuffs by making her angry, which was like the James Corden thing. Love conquers everything. Stop becoming a Cyberman. That was awful. It was like it was trying to recreate the Ark in Space moment with the Doctor teasing Sarah to come through the duct, but it didn't work because he hadn't had that relationship with her. He just came across being a real shit, didn't he? It was awful.
Yes, but the problem is, I don't think he actually does that very convincingly. I think, Doctor of the past really did have an edge. There is an edge. There's a hard edge to Doctor Who. And unfortunately, the way that Shooty's been played with all the crying, and he did cry at the very end, if anyone noticed.
He cried twice.
Yeah. Oh, did he? I missed one of them.
When the Silurian died.
Looking at my phone.
Yeah, well, yeah, you were. When the Silurian died, he started going weepy weepy.
Well,
and then at the end,
I just don't think he comes over convincingly as having that alien edge that the other Doctors had, and that's a concern, because without that edge, I
have to say, Peter Cushing's Doctor's more alien than him.
The way it's written. I mean, I know Moffat wrote this episode, but he's writing it to the RTD pattern here, as we've seen in the previous episodes here. I'm going to say, I now think this is the end for this show, totally and utterly, because last night I sat down hoping and praying I was going to get a Doctor Who story. I didn't get a Doctor Who story. That is not the Doctor. I have now decided that Gatwa's portrayal, the way they're writing him, the way they're producing him, that's not the Doctor at all.
No, it's not.
And the only time he looked like any version of the Doctor I've seen was when he was in the leather jacket, and I'm not just saying it's the clothes make up for the performance, but I can't see a performance. I can't see. I can see him walking off the set of Coronation Street or EastEnders, and for me, it was just so boring watching this whole thing and being preached to again, although subliminally, and all that thing about the hospital stuff and all that, and what went on in 2020, which we're not allowed to say, just to let you know, on YouTube, we're not allowed to say that word. Enspiel is also saying, joy to the world. I hated the pomposity of the production crew to go there at the end. How disrespectful. And as Emilio was saying on our Sunday show, of the Christmas special of Headlines, he was saying that he would find that offensive. So it'd be very interesting to see what Emilio says when we get him back onto the show about what he actually thought about that, because it was just ridiculous, wasn't it? The whole thing was ridiculous. It just felt shallow and empty, and it was just a greatest hits package in a sense.
I felt it was very much catering to the Americans. I might be wrong, but that's...
Well, it's very Disney-fied. The bit where Mum gets taken away, or that was just so cheesy, wasn't it?
I just felt it was how Americans would write Doctor Who, and I'm afraid to say I really believe in Doctor Who being British and of British values, and it just didn't come over as that to me at all.
Didn't it sort of trivialize the deaths of the people that died as a result of that this particular one turned into glittering fairy dust, just like that Forest of the Night episode where things turned into glittering fairy dust? But I mean, this is part of the move, isn't it, to make it more fantasy? I mean, what was that scene about where he's got a brush sweeping the stairs on its own? That was Harry Potter.
Or Fantasia.
Yeah, absolutely. It was. What was it all about? The Doctor isn't a magician.
No.
He's just not. If anything, he is an absolute scientist, and always said he was a scientist. Until now, he's a magician, because that's the way these idiots want to take it. But it's
and
just,
any other incarnation would have been, you would have seen that scene and they would have been walking the stairs. I know this
Yeah.
is just a trivial
John
thing.
Pertwee would be in drag doing that bit if he was doing it.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
mean that
absolutely.
you have to be
Let's not go
undercover. If they had to be undercover, they would have been grafting. And again, Ncuti doesn't have that sort of unworldly quality that they're awkward, but they're kind of sticking in. He would have been sat mopping the stairs instead of looking like an undercover Harry Potter Fantasia.
Yeah. Imagine
Yeah.
Matt Smith's doctor doing the stairs in with the mop. He wouldn't have known quite what the mop was for at first. He would have tried to put it in his head or something like that, wouldn't he? And then realize what it was because he's an alien.
Yeah.
But here we have, I don't understand that whole thing. Why? Why was it necessary to write the episode firstly? But why was it necessary to write the episode with a whole year of the doctor's life in modern day Earth? And as somebody was saying today, and we might come to this actually in one of our reviews, David Tennant's around the corner.
Yeah.
You know that particular doctor, thanks to the bi-generation nonsense, is round the corner. So how did he keep out of his way for all this time? You know, and what happened? You know, and there's a working TARDIS round there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it just open. They don't even know their own continuity now.
But they keep opening so many cans and leaving them open and not resolving storylines, and just it doesn't matter anymore about continuity. It doesn't matter anymore what the stories are before.
Right.
It doesn't matter anymore about any sort of sense making, and that's part of what's been lost as well, and it's awful. And as for Mavity, please don't start.
Oh yeah, he mentioned that again, didn't he? As
Jesus.
if, and we know the British public are not waiting for this. This is now purely written for a small minority of different Doctor Who fans to all of us who get excited when that Mavity word is. I mean, utter juvenile nonsense. But can you imagine? The great British public, if they were tuning into this, which they're not, we now know that it's fact, it goes over the head because they're not going to remember something in 2023. They're just going to think, oh, the actor's stupid because he's just said it wrong. Listen, thank you all for joining us in the chat. We've got a lot with you this evening. Thank you. I'll try and keep up with you in the chat. Demorpin saying, why have a really engaging adventure when you can write unrelenting schmaltz and just throw in a dinosaur? There you go.
Yeah.
Indeed. We've also got here from Daniel Raven. Hello, Daniel. Nice to see you. Merry Christmas. Yes, it was a total waste of Coughlan, who is great. In summary, look confused, look zombified, turn into CGI. I don't think she actually... I've seen her in Derry Girls, and she was brilliant in Derry Girls, and she performed, and she delivered a character, didn't she, Chris? She was so funny. Yeah. And here she just seemed...
a fabulous comedy.
Yeah.
But she didn't seem to be involved in this at all. She just seemed to be... I don't even think she was delivering the lines, to be very honest. You know, I just think she was thinking, what is this crap I'm in?
She was on autopilot a bit, I thought, in it, to be honest.
Yeah. Mrs. Lisa Pertwee is saying, this is R of Disney. Why is it so bad? I may start watching the Jodie era now. Now, steady.
No, whoa.
Yeah, whoa. Yeah.
Steady,
Don't do that to yourself. No.
And Domgo is saying to us, Anita was great and really needs to be a companion, a lovely character. I just don't understand why Anita and that whole year was there if she wasn't going to go with him. And they've left it open-ended for her. Should there be another series, ho, 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 for her to come back possibly. I don't know. Hello to Ionic Plasmoid. Nice to see you. Welcome to Who's Views. Double wow. Yeah. TARDIS Travels is saying to us, guys, why didn't Moffat write in that script that some of the hotel rooms had Daleks, Cybermen, Centaurans, and Ice Warriors in them? A missed opportunity. Probably couldn't afford them.
Yeah.
To be quite honest. What else we got there? Oh, lots of you in the chat. It's absolutely fantastic. The Evening Standard review, worth reading. I've got it if we come to it, because it is. Counted 3 cries. 3 cries, Jodie.
I missed them.
But 3 cries, and this is the Doctor that they're telling again needs to find somebody because he's so sad. This is the Doctor that was introduced 1 year ago with the freedom from all that angst and upset. This was a new Doctor that was going to embrace life and be so happy and jolly and free of any upset. And he has cried more than a Man United fan who's crying an awful lot right now. Got to tell you, and it's really funny. But it's pathetic. Like you say, they have no concept of their own continuity. They don't know what they're doing.
None.
They don't know what they're doing.
No. And it's I mean, I'm watching this last night thinking this show is tired, and it's really showing. They've got no imagination now. They've got no creativity. They're rehashing their own ideas. You know, they're taking bits from stories, they're throwing in agendas, they're doing all this whole stuff. I mean, this attached to that last series we just had. This is a tired show. Get it off the air. We've got here Paul Roughton. Hello, Paul. If you're not invested in a character and can't believe them, you can't hope to feel any emotion towards them. Very true. Very, very true. Yeah. And Jack's with us. Hello, Jack. Wallace and Gromit was no better. Also rubbish. I'm done with the BBC. Oh, Jack didn't like.
I have to disagree on that one. I'm sorry. That was superb.
I'm so sorry you didn't like it, because Jack's a huge Wallace and Gromit fan. So I'm so sorry you didn't like that one. Graham is saying about Gatwa, guys. He just seems a generic lead. There is absolutely nothing doctorish about him whatsoever. And yet he tried. There was that bit in the TARDIS. Takes the Arthur Dent dressing gown off. Did you notice? Did you see it? It was the Arthur Dent dressing gown, or paying homage to it. He tried to do that, but he just didn't pull it off. He was doing all that. What did I just see? What did I just see? What did I just see? He didn't pull it off.
It begs the question for me: does he sleep in his clothes? Because he don't have any jammies on underneath his dressing gown. I didn't get that anyway. But
yeah.
I know. Just seeing one that's come up. Moffat wrote "The Empty Child." What's happened? Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Many years ago, when New Who started up, I was very keen for a gentleman called Patterson Joseph to play the Doctor.
Oh, yeah.
He did the Marquis de Carabas in Neverwhere and was absolutely phenomenal, and had the sort of quirkiness and detachment I felt was perfect for Doctor Who, in that you could imagine him making really severe decisions and then possibly not being popularist. And really, I felt would be the most amazing Who, and would have carried it off with absolute panache and style. And just to get to this point, and it's just gutting, really.
Yeah,
because it's not like I can't see other people in the role. I can. I just think this has been so miscast. I'm not saying Ncuti Gatwa can't act, but I'm saying he can't do Doctor Who. He just can't, or at least the scripts will not let him.
I'm going to agree.
Well, he's had 10 episodes. He's not grabbing the tools the Doctor.
No,
I mean,
not carried it off.
Yeah.
No. Well, 11.
If we're honest, I mean, let's throw Whittaker out the window at the minute, because I would actually
pleasure.
I would tune in and watch that on repeat. But you said, JT, that it had been tired, and it was tired. I think, to be honest, if we're fair, and this isn't a reflection against him, but it was tired pretty much from Capaldi. You know, it was being run down at that point. It was starting to get ready to follow that particular agenda. At that point, you saw it coming in with Missy and everything else, and it was just a downhill ride from there.
But Capaldi could really act, and probably that carried it for longer.
Can you imagine what he would have been like if he'd got decent scripts? If he'd got decent scripts,
he would have been up there with Baker and Pertwee, because he's not quite. Although he's capable of being, because he knew Doctor Who as well. We've got here Mrs. Lita Pertwee. Thank you so much for your super chat. You know the show is dead when over 9 million people turned on BBC One to watch Wallace and Gromit as soon as the Doctor Who episode finished. It's very telling. It is, isn't it? It's absolutely very telling.
Yeah. I have to say, though...
I'm going to say, Paul, because I've got to bring this one up. A huge thank you for this super chat. Thank you so much, James Footmuck. Hope you are well. Hope you all had a Merry Christmas. What an episode. Oh, the pacing and plenty of plot holes. That's exactly what I think I'm trying to get to. I mean, you know, talk about plot hole. I mean, I don't even think, James, there was a plot in this. I just don't get it. I don't get that at all. And I think again, Moffat and RTD. You know what?
Yeah.
But thank you for your super chat. Thank you, Paul. You were going to say.
I was going to say people referring to Wallace and Gromit, which I thought was superb. I think Wallace and Gromit are particularly talented pieces of plasticine, unlike Ncuti Gatwa, allegedly.
It is very, very true here. There are lots of you in the chat with us this evening for our Boxing Day special, when we are looking at, of course, Joy to the World, the latest bit of nonsense from BBC Studios, Bad Wolf and Disney Plus. Is this going to be the end of Doctor Who now as we enter 2025? We know that currently there is no 2025 Christmas edition. And quite frankly, after last night's nonsense, good. Absolutely good. I mean, they cannot be sitting there today and celebrating the fact it got 4.11. Surely.
No.
I think there's still some folk that are delusional out there, though, on Facebook. I've seen it.
Yes, you're
Well,
right. I think so.
I've got friends of mine who are similar age as me as Doctor Who fans, and they loved it. And I don't know what they were watching, but they loved it. So.
Paul, we have a mutual friend who loved it as well. Don't know if you saw.
Oh, did he? He liked the war games in colour as well, apparently. So I was open to that. But
Oh, are they loving it, or are they
Yeah.
just? Or are they just at this point now where they're supporting it simply because it says it's Doctor Who? It has
I think
a bastardization of the theme tune, and it's got a police box in it.
I think it's nostalgia, Justin. I think a lot of it's nostalgia.
Yeah,
Because it's
but they
hard to
can't let
give
go.
something up that you've loved all your life and admit that it's gone awful.
Yeah, and as I say to you all, actually, for those of you who are actually in that, come and join us here on Who's Views, because when it's announced that this is coming off the air, as will inevitably happen, we'll be here for you for discounted rates. Absolutely.
At least you've got years and years and years and years and years and years of good stuff to watch, which most people, when something's cancelled, don't have.
Yeah, and unfortunately, a lot of the ones that are clinging onto this nonsense with Gatwa are only there for the whippers and pilfering aspects of it. They won't go back and watch the original Doctor Who because apparently it's offensive or it's too slow. But I have to tell you on that mark here, if a certain crystal meth is watching this show, if I had to watch that nonsense that was out last night, I'd have to speed it up.
well, that's the thing about those going about pacing. The war games is too slow. We'll edit it to 90 minutes. It's like, really? That was the pacing of that hour was so slow and disjointed.
It was ridiculous.
I was bored to death. It really was,
Yeah. We've got Noodle Arms agreeing with you here. There are a small group of Doctor Who fans who don't care about any sense of the character as such, but as long as the name is there, these people are happy. And they're the ones we're seeing today. They're the ones that are just going, oh my God, it was the best thing since the last thing, when actually it was the worst thing since the last thing in my eyes.
It's worse than the last thing. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
It's embarrassing though. Do you know, I'm sitting there with my family watching this thing. My sister's fidgeting on her phone. My mother's fidgeting. Yeah, it's just a case of it's embarrassing. They're not. And I get that look. Do you know when you get the look from your mother and you try and ignore it? You get the look as if to say, "You're making me sit through this," and I could be.
Because your mum went to watch Bullseye as well. I bet she did.
I bet she did. Yeah, probably. And you're trying to say, "Oh God, I'm getting the glare. I'm getting the glare." Do you know what I mean, Who viewers? It was just embarrassing, and I had to look at her and go, "I know. I'm doing it for the show. I'm doing." Unbelievable here.
I think a lot of the ones that are really sort of like getting overly excited to the point of soiling themselves about this era are literally just there about seeing things where they see their particular lifestyles or beliefs represented. Like you say, JT, it's that representation. They have to see it. They have to have it. And the writers pander to that by just making it all about that. So they have to have drag featured. They have to have, it couldn't just be a woman writing to a lover on a train, female. It had to be a lesbian. It had to be. It couldn't possibly be what like 80 or 85, 90% of relationships can't
What is it with Moffat and lesbians? Why is Steven Moffat fascinated with lesbian relationships?
Why? He had the lesbian Gymkhana and boom, didn't he? Remember that one?
Yeah.
That's why I put in my heading there, because this is coming from Big Finish. Lesbian on the Orient Express box set. That's coming soon from Big Finish.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, yes.
But he can't help it. None of them can. They have to do this. But I mean, there was one of the Facebook groups, it might have even been the official BBC one, I don't know, made a comment about, looking forward to the one where they go back to the origins of Muhammad and his very young wife. And somebody immediately came back and made an inference that you're very interested in young children, if you know what I mean. And that's where they go straight away, because they have such wafer-thin skin and they have no backbone and they have no intellectual ability to debate or discuss. They just go, oh, you're a, and it was quite, I mean, you laugh at them, don't you? And say, come on, try harder, have another go. Go on, have another go. But
we've got this way, sorry to interrupt Ian, but at this point we have to say goodbye to our lady of the chat here. We've got to say goodbye to Kirsty, who's off to work.
So pray for me, friends. I don't pray for me.
I've got Kirsty's score on the TARDIS store for later on in the show. Kirsty, we will see you soon. Have a great night. Stay safe, stay warm. And
thank you. Love you all.
Thanks for seeing him. Ta-ra, darling.
Take care.
Bye. Yes, so here we go. We're going to keep going, everybody, as well. I'm here, as you can see, with Paul, with Third Doctor and Jodie, who's back with us for this. Oh, God. And yes, and we're going to be asking her to come back for the 2025 season. Paul Thomas Ashworth, thank you again for your super chat. What they need is an open script policy like early Star Trek, so freelancers can send in scripts. Unfortunately, RTD's huge ego is in the way. So apparently what he has said over the last few years is that they've done this since 2003 when it was announced they were going to come back. They wouldn't take the submissions because they're frightened that if a fan sends in a submission or a plot or whatever you want to call it, and it ends up being used in the show by another author at some point by accident, they can come back and say, I sent you this such and such and that. So that's why people are now directly commissioned. That's the thing, Paul. I remember reading that. I think it was in Doctor Who magazine or somewhere. That's why they were going to say no. But then the other thing that Star Trek has just done, allegedly, is get rid of an entire series in its canon.
Really?
Very wise.
Discovery, apparently, allegedly, has been written off now as non-canon. So if that's true, there's a precedent for the next producers of Doctor Who. Very easy. Back to Capaldi, cut the cord with the other two, because Jodie mentioned miscast.
I still say Bobby Ewing in Dallas.
I've said that all along as well.
It's science fiction. Anything could happen in sci-fi, as all of us know.
Do you remember that comic strip in the 80s where the Doctor degenerated back to Hartnell? Remember that?
Yes,
that's what we need to do. We'll do that. That'll be fine. Then stop at Capaldi. That's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. It is lovely to see you all in the chat. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Nice to see you all. Merry Christmas to you all. It is us reviewing Joy to the World. It's December the 26th. Killbot Girl is saying the only thing they got right was Bethlehem year 0001, as there is no year 0000. Well, there you go, Ian.
Well, what about the year before?
What was that year?
Yeah.
That was BC something, wasn't it?
BC.
Not even BC now, it's BCE.
Oh, I see. Okay, right.
They've changed that as well.
What's BCA?
Before Christian era. They've changed it.
See, right. Yeah.
Sorry,
I mean, it's all a fiction.
I know
folks, just to tell you now, it's all a fiction.
We've got Castellan Spandex wanted to know where's Paul's beard.
Well, I look about 12 now. I took it off. Don't you think? About 12, maybe.
Lots of you wanting your say on the show tonight. Keep them coming. I'll try and keep up with you all. Cecilia Rough Diamond saying plot-wise it was a complete mess. Spot the plot. That was the quiz I was going to play tonight as well. Spot the plot. We've got here from Wild Hunter. There is hope for the Doctor. As a time traveler, he can go back in time and fix everything by creating a time Ouroboros, a snake that devours its own tail and disappears. But how far back? Well, that's a good question there. If you are new to our channel this evening, lovely to see you. Please subscribe. It'd be great to have you on for future editions of the show. If you are already subscribed to the channel, please make sure you are still subscribed to the channel. That would be fantastic. And give us a like. That would be great. At this point, also, before I forget, huge thank you to Garbage and Problem Being for joining us in the chat as well, making sure that everybody is right. All right, and fantastic. Philip Roy is in the chat with us as well. Is anyone else wholly tired of time travel as a plot and get out device in Doctor Who?
Yeah.
Time travel was always just a way to get to any time or place, not to tie everything up with paradoxes.
What was
and I'm sick
interesting
of present day UK as well.
Yeah, go somewhere
really
interesting.
cheesed off with present day UK. Like,
I was very surprised with the Bethlehem reference, so that he didn't make it even more sledgehammer, that Shooty would have winked at the camera or something like that. I've never got that. I was really surprised.
Yeah.
One of the three kings was
Shooty,
or whatever. Was incapacitated, so he took the role.
Don't give them ideas. I mean, it's obviously now that they're scraping the bottom of the barrel when they have to do that, and it was only a matter of time before either RTD or Moffat was doing. And I genuinely think that Moffat was trying to be respectful, but it wasn't. It didn't come off like that at all. It just came off as a cheap point score. And it will be very interesting to see what Christians especially thought of that. There has been an uproar today. It has been in some of the newspapers. It has been on some of the TV shows. We will be covering it in a future edition of Headlines to make sure that you're up with us, because we're going to be talking about this a lot more after Joy to the World. We will, of course, also be coming up very soon in our ratings analysis show on Headlines as well, because there's a lot to talk about there when we compare it to the last set of crap episodes. Paul Brady is with us. We need different writers and a new Doctor, bringing back the essence of the Doctor. That's my opinion. I mean, that's a great opinion, Paul. Thank you. I'm going to ask you and my fellow panel members here, though. Do we, or do we just get rid of it and let it go?
I think it could be rebooted. I think it could be rebooted well, but not by the current team and not by anybody associated with them. I think it really needs to be rebooted by someone who loved it the way that we did, and have some respect for the
That's supposed to
character.
be them, though, Jode. Do you know what I mean? That's supposed to be Moffat and RTD.
Yeah.
Well, it was, but they've morphed over the years. It's if you look at New Who, it's really changed. It's not like it was in the beginning. I did really like the original series. I did. And I thought it had a lot of potential. And for a long time, I thought it was going in a good way. And I had a lot of time for it. And my kids loved it.
Yeah.
I just feel they've totally lost their way. I think they're becoming... I think it's egotistical. I think that their egos are getting in the way of everything now, and they think everything they believe is what everybody should believe, and that's a dangerous route to go down. That's 1984, and that worries me that they're trying to influence young people far too politically. Old Doctor Who just tried to influence young people to believe in good as a force.
And understand the difference between right and wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it needed to stay back and just be that. It's not that anymore. It's become incredibly political and politicized. And I just find that disturbing, because I don't think history is going to look kindly on it.
Yeah, I don't think it's, and I think we're starting to see that now, because it's getting so much criticism. The British public are not coming back to this show. The fact that now the rumor is Disney has pulled out of it because of the lack of success, the spectacular failure of Series 1. The storylines are always, if you're not in the UK, you won't know this, but the storylines are always being criticised by the alternative press, as I call them, to the BBC and ITV. These up and coming stations that you can find on the Tube of Who, you can find on various radio stations. They're up and coming. They are beating the BBC, Sky, ITV now. These small, because they speak common sense, and more people are gravitating towards them. So the power that they have been saying, oh, this has happened in Doctor Who, and this has happened, and look at this. People are going to go, oh, well, I'm not watching that then. It has a massive effect on them. And they're walking around blinking. They're not responding at all. Thank you for Andy Cledhill, by the way. Thank you for that super chat. RTD and all the Shield media will say that 4.11 million is great, guys.
Yeah, of course they will,
Basically what we're saying.
I just think the message, be kind to people, is being lost in the specificity of them saying, be kind to this group of people. I just don't feel it's necessary to keep hitting us over the head with a sledgehammer about these things.
Yeah.
And I also think it's completely inappropriate in a kids' programme, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I agree.
Family drama like Doctor Who. I mean, we do get people arguing it's not a family drama. But there are people from outside the UK that don't understand that it actually is in the UK. It was founded as a family drama. It's always been
like your granddad and you sat down and watched it together, or your dad and you sat down and watched it together, your uncle and you sat down and watched it together. It was a thing that brought together people in a way that, well, in my house, for example, my granddad was always watching football. I had not the least bit interest in football. So this was something we did together.
Yeah.
Or if you didn't do it together, if you weren't watching it with a relative, your parents knew that they could leave you watching it
exactly
in a safe environment. Now we know parents won't do that, and that speaks volumes as well, I think.
And we've actually got, for anybody new to our shows here, we've actually got parents in our chat who have said they will watch Doctor Who first and decide whether it's suitable for their children. That was never the Doctor Who way. No, as Ian says there, never.
But they seem to have gone really against the scare or the fear factor. Which I don't get at all, because kids, that was the appeal of Doctor Who. I only watched Doctor Who because it was scary. It was frightening, but it was not too frightening that my family wouldn't let me see it. It wasn't like Hammer, where I had to sneak down at like 10, 11 o'clock at night when my granny had gone to bed and watch it on my own, you know?
On BBC Two,
You know, they didn't know I was doing that for quite a long time. Whereas Doctor Who, I was allowed to watch.
Yeah, for 26 years, by the way. Domgo was asking, is 4.11 million classed as a failure, though, worthy of cancellation? That's a great question, Domgo.
It was in the 80s.
It certainly was, but right now, it wouldn't be. It wouldn't be. However, when it comes to Doctor Who now, I already think the decision has been made, because you've got to take it as part of the entire series that we've just gone through, and they were atrocious viewing figures. Let's have a look at it a bit more closely. This one here, Domgo, from Lisa Amimbo. This is what he tweeted, or whatever we call it now, this morning. As you can see, there they are there. So Gavin and Stacey, these are the figures we need to look at. These are the overnights. Gavin and Stacey got 12.32 million. Now, this is what Doctor Who used to pull in. Tennant and Smith were getting around about this, okay? Wallace and Gromit got 9.38. So there you're looking at Smith and Capaldi. His Majesty the King on BBC and ITV got 5.98. Call the Midwife got 4.42. EastEnders 4.39. Doctor Who 4.11. Strictly Come Dancing, which is in enough trouble of its own right now, 4.05 million. EastEnders, what are the two parts they put on? 3.98. Tiddler, which was a children's book animation thing, that got 3.23. And then The Weakest Link, 3.5. So if you look at that, as a lot of you are saying in the chat, Doctor Who benefited from Wallace and Gromit being after it. Because how many people tuned in for the last 10 minutes of Doctor Who and thought, what the hell is going on? Or worse, didn't even bother looking at it because Wallace and Gromit was coming on it. Because look at that. And as you were saying, Lisa, in the chat, absolutely 4.11 from Doctor Who. And the big picture is there, 9.38 for Wallace and Gromit. That is a huge jump. Massive jump. Come back to us as well early in the new year. We are going to be looking at that in headlines. Bedweir is going to be joining us with his rating analysis. I know he is busy on it right now.
I think, JT, earlier in the chat, somebody posted what it had been throughout the episode. And at one point, it was down in the 3.9s or the 3.8s. So it definitely dipped. And
I
then
think there's problem being put that in the chat, I think, at some point. I think it is.
Yes, I think so, yeah. But I don't doubt it at all.
Definitely did that. You know, so it wasn't particularly holding viewers, and I think there would have been a proportion that would have just left the TV on because they knew Wallace and Gromit was coming.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, because we do that in our house.
Oh, really?
If I'm cooking or something, I'll just leave something playing, and I'm not particularly watching it.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I mean, people do. The telly goes on because it's that natural thing. We're all born into television now, aren't we? The telly goes on. You know, back in our parents' days and our grandparents' days, it would have been the wireless went on, you know, but now it's the telly and it just stays on for the day. And it tends to be BBC One because it's traditional.
Well, in the 70s, GT, they have to warm the set up at that point, didn't they? Remember that?
I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Thank you to the chat for the super chat you've given us. The chat a little late to this particular stream, really liking and have liked all your content. Have to send flowers to the stream and awesome panel. Well, that is so sweet of you, the chat. I love that mysteriousness. It sounds like we've got our own Who's Views sort of, you know, super sort of spy type thing. Do you know what I mean? The chat. Ooh.
I think the chat, JT, just looking at it, just so we don't miss them, the chat has also done 3 other ones straight after. So we don't want to miss them. They've done 3 subsequent ones as well.
Right. Well, thank you for that. Really appreciate it. I really appreciate that. I can only see the one on my StreamYard here. So thank you so much, the chat. It's nice to see you. And if you could please even just keep the name the chat when you come and join us. I quite like that. That is really cool. I like that. But thank you very much. Just to remind you at this particular point, everybody, as well, that if you want to get in touch with us, you can. It's whosviews1@gmail.com. whosviews1@gmail.com. It does take me a little bit of time to get back to you, but I will get back to you. I had a quick look before we came on air today after I finished work. Lots of messages from you, lots of emails. I'll get back to you over the next few days, okay? Bear with me, but whosviews1@gmail.com. It's always wonderful to hear from you. I want to know everybody's opinion about all sorts of things, actually, but I want to start before we go to the big story for me on this one, which was my favorite journalist is back in the show, everybody. Yes, she is. Stand by your beds. But there were a lot of reviews that were coming up today, an awful lot. Couldn't keep up with them all today, but we are going to be looking at some more of the reviews in headlines in the next couple of weeks. But this one caught my eyes this morning. Actually, yesterday, this was the first thing that got beeped to me last night. Look at this, 6:10 they released this one. From The Independent, Doctor Who Christmas Special is a technical rumination of loneliness. 3 out of 5 stars. A technical rumination of loneliness.
I'm surprised you got 3 stars. That's really amazing.
But do you notice now it's always out of 5 now, guys?
Yeah.
You know, always out of 5. But have a look at this. This is what they say about this. Things associated with the British Christmas: charred pigs in their charred blankets, blue flames licking around an inedible pudding, crackers dispensing choking hazards, mountains of balled up wrapping paper, and a time-traveling alien cracking wise on the telly. Something suggested to me at this point, this person doesn't really like Christmas, but we'll carry on.
Yeah.
Yes, Doctor Who has become a Christmas tradition to stand-alone presents, dinner, and political arguments. And this year it returns to BBC One with Joy to the World, a festive special about loneliness and its cures. Interesting, I thought. Let me try and wrap my noggin around this setup. Joy checks into what I think is supposed to be a rather drab London hotel, but in reality would cost £300 a night for Christmas. Welcome to my room, she says, tells a cohabiting fly, and I thought I was going to be lonely. Meanwhile, the Doctor is staying at the Time Hotel in the distant future. It's there that he witnesses something strange, a bloke handcuffed to a briefcase, acting as though he's under mind control. A naturally inquisitive fellow, the Doctor starts sniffing at a conspiracy and finds himself bursting through the locked door of Joy's hotel suite, kicking off an adventure that will take the pair from Hillary's ascent of Everest to the dinosaurs by way of V2s raining over Manchester and lovesick lesbians on the Orient Express.
I'm not sure V2's reached Manchester, JT, but there we are.
There we go. Yeah. Back in November 2023, Disney struck a deal with the BBC, and don't we all know it, for the international broadcast rights to Doctor Who, with bods at the corporation promising the partnership would elevate the show to even greater heights. What this has meant in reality is that the quality of the CGI is dramatically improved. I would say that's debatable. The Tyrannosaurus Rex is not a man in an articulate dinosaur outfit, but a full-blown reptilian menace. What it doesn't mean, however, is that Disney will be contributing much towards the creation of internal logic. They are, after all, a company that owns both Star Wars and Marvel, two franchises that have failed to produce a coherent entertainment product in recent years. Big, flashy action sequences they can manage, plotting that balances genuine stakes with the character development, less so. But then again, Doctor Who is intended to have a frenzied sense of chaos. You have to be mysterious all the time, the Doctor tells himself when a second Doctor bursts through from the Time Hotel. That's why everyone leaves you. That's why you're always alone. Just as Joy is alone with her fly for Christmas, so too is the Doctor. He is missing the teenage girl, Ruby, who he usually hangs around with. And Joy to the World, written by Steven Moffat, is really a rumination on loneliness. Joy, lamenting things left unsaid when her mother died in the pandemic. Yes, the C word is canon to the Whoniverse. Anita, the hotel's manager, left alone to hoover and plump and retowel for the rest of the time. And the Doctor always up to some shenanigans, knowing that eventually his companions, Karen Gillan, Catherine Tate, Bradley Walsh, will leave him for Jumanji, or for The Office, or blankety blank. The Doctor always ends up alone. And so Moffat's Christmas special this year is an attempt to find solace and self-reliance. And even though Doctor Who doesn't really hold together when viewed from a totally dispassionate, critical perspective, it's still transparently a point of communion. Kids will find a hero in Gatwa's grinning, shouting, rambunctious protagonist, while plenty of grown-ups will pick out references that hark back to the days of Christopher Eccleston, or even William Hartnell. With streaming services offering an increasingly atomized menu for different generations, Beast Game for the kids, Pride and Prejudice for mum and dad, it's a relief to have something like Doctor Who, which aspires to be an unpretentious crowd pleaser.
Really?
Look, yeah. Look, it continues. Doctor Who is not an aesthetic masterpiece. The production design is a dizzying technicolor hellscape, and the script is constructed with scant regard for the casual viewer. When you explain things, do people feel any better? Joy asks the Doctor. Not usually, he confesses. But some things don't require an explanation. And cheap, silly sci-fi has become a Christmas tradition, whether you like it or not. I'm not sure that the BBC or Disney or Bad Wolf will like that last line. Cheap, silly sci-fi. It's certainly not cheap. But it certainly is silly. I mean, what do you think of that, guys? That's where we're at in Britain now, by the way.
Doctor Who's become a shadow of its former self, and people don't recognise it as it was at all. It's not Doctor Who. I've said this already. It's nonsense, absolute nonsense.
I don't know what this is. I really don't know what this show is. I don't know who that is. I think it relies too much on its own mythology, all the blooming cross references and we're clever links and stuff like this and nods to things.
Well, it's too self-aware. Look at all this stuff about the TARDIS, all these model TARDISes and stuff. You got them online. Really? What are you talking about?
Yeah, nonsense. There seems to be an awful lot of them online. It's self-referential, isn't it?
Yeah.
Although it did show that the Doctor was missing the TARDIS more than anything. But as I said at the top of the show, there's one around the corner, mate. You could have borrowed it, surely.
Yeah.
I think Doctor Who needs to be off air for a while.
I would agree with that.
It needs a Star Trek Discovery removal of certain chunks of stuff from canon. I would go as far as to remove everything up to and including Capaldi. Go from Matt Smith and maybe reintroduce Capaldi because he was really good.
He was really good, and I'd like to see him written well for.
Yeah, he would never come back after the way he was treated. He was treated awful.
Yeah,
but if the BBC had nothing to do with it, maybe. he would come
Maybe.
back.
You never know.
Maybe.
You never
Maybe.
know.
Maybe.
The people involved in it and that have been involved in it should never be allowed to even touch it again. But it needs to be cheap, I think.
And gritty.
Stylish.
It needs to be a bit gritty.
Yeah.
When it was cheap, they tried. They put effort in because they didn't have the money otherwise. Yep. And they've got the money now, and it's all
show and no script.
Yeah.
We've seen that through this series this year, haven't we? In 2024, I mean, the quality just wasn't there, and now we've been given this, and it's as though they went, "Oh, it's the Christmas one." Ugh.
Yeah, but it's like when they had the bubble wrap monster in the Pete Davidson era. It was like, oh God, it was bubble wrap. Imagine them using that. Ha 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 ha. Still a better story.
We've got here Daniel Raven agreeing with what you're saying, guys. Ideally rebooted by someone with no connection to the BBC. Oh, look at this. Darren at Ken. Hello, nice to see you. Give it a rest for at least 5 years and then reboot with a new team who are unconnected to the Fitzroy mob. Stephen Braddock is saying, sounds like Doctor Who should take some pointers from a ghost story for Christmas this year. Now, that was scary, you know, like Doctor Who used to be. And Woodhouse 122, nice to see you, Rory. Who needs a 5-year break from the current run? Timkins rebooted in a very cleanly cut way after a healthy gap of time. There's lots of you agreeing with this now on the channel. Time for wilderness years, 15 years break, said Lex Kane. Needs to go back to original roots of Doctor Who and serials and stories again. Castellan Spandex is with us saying, yep, rest it for 5 years minimum. And the Legion of James, wow, we need to shelve this now. Left for a generation and then leave it for a generation and then possibly it could return. But unless they retcon everything from Mick Capaldi onwards and Ray's Whittaker onwards, I won't be interested. This is amazing. There's an awful lot of you agreeing with this. Look at this.
I have to say.
Hang on, Paul. The way to fix the show is to exit a new writing team, a new Doctor Who. RTD and Stephen have had a grip on the show for too long. It's nearly 20 years, Paul.
I'd say Doctor Who gets slagged off for having a poor budget, right? When Doctor Who was made, it was made. If you look at the costings of how they made an episode, it wasn't a massive budget. It was enough to make a TV program. So, and things were a product of its time. You mentioned bubble wrap, Jodie, Ark in Space. I mean, that was something that wasn't in public households at that point.
No,
was used.
No, it wasn't.
So it was a piece of material that wasn't freely available. But Doctor Who, it's a bit of a myth. I don't agree with this. That Doctor Who can have a big budget if the writing is correct. And on classic Doctor Who, they did have to create things out of necessity and try and make it work on the budget they had, and they made them think outside the box a bit. But it can have a decent budget and have a good story and be a good show. It's a myth that it can't have a big budget.
No, I agree with you completely. I just think it's sad that what they've done recently has been allow the worst scripts I've ever seen in my entire life to pass. It's
both Russell and Moffat have to go back to writing school or read Malcolm Hult's book on writing. They read that for a start. You know?
Maybe, but I would actually also say to them, listen, maybe it's just time they just retired. I'm going to say it. There's one of the chat. The chat, thank you so much for your super chat. Doctor Who has not been the Doctor since the brilliant Capaldi. We're all going to agree with you on that. And even yet, Capaldi's scripts were dire. I mean, as Paul was saying there, imagine if Capaldi had been given proper scripts. The only Capaldi one I retain the information for, and actually it's 3 if you think about it, is the one where the sea base under the lake, which I found quite Doctor Who-y. That's when I thought, oh, my Doctor Who's coming back now. And then the next thing I've taken off, as it were. And then we've got, I like the Christmas one with the alien type things, the dream things.
Last Christmas, I
thought that was a bit different for a Christmas episode on Christmas night. I thought, oh, yes, I like this sort of thing. Thank you for that, chat. We've got the chat. We've got Paul Brady here saying to us, we definitely need the Doctor where it was fun, scary, and exciting. Bog Fanish writers do an awesome job. Get those to help again, in my opinion. I wouldn't even want them, Paul. No disrespect. I would want brand new people who are not fans necessarily. Sorry, Paul.
They're in the clique, aren't they? They are. If they weren't part of that Fitzroy Tavern mob, they're certainly affiliated to them, and not to want to be too crude. But that was basically just a group of people who then and now still allegedly like to hang around grading each other's farts, aren't they?
Well, can I say about Big Finish? They've ruined my era that I like on Big Finish is Paul McGann. Paul McGann, apparently, the 8th Doctor now has a relationship. He's got a gay relationship that's been going on.
Oh, well, let's not talk about that.
For goodness sake. I mean, they're doing it now as well. God's sake,
absolute nonsense, and they've had issues, haven't they? So let's not talk about them.
Yeah.
We're wasting our time.
But it's the same. They're going the
Big
same
thing.
trajectory as TV Who. Though.
Well, they will be, because what
Yeah.
the masters talk about, as you say, they kiss their ass and they go on with it. Adoring praise. It is nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. We need new writers and a team who are true fans of classic Who. I would agree.
Yep.
Problem being is saying you can't be sincere and in touch writer when you live in a gilded bubble. And hello and welcome to Plymouth Who. Nice to see you. Welcome to Who's Views. Moffat ran out of ideas 10 years ago. It's just been rinse and repeat since. Yes, and that's what I was trying to get with this one. We had that whole thing. I mean, I was reminded of Trenzalore and the whole year, the 1,000 years or whatever he did on Trenzalore, and the year from the Russell T Davies one where Martha did the year thing. I thought, oh come on, not again.
But you wouldn't have minded all of that, Justin, if it had been written well and it was a good story.
If it had been a good story and it had been placed like something more dramatic rather than just being left there.
Everything's a repeat, really. It's just how well it's told. And it was just a hot mess last night. It wasn't told well.
We said it, didn't we, in the 8 episodes of that awful nonsense earlier this year. They really need a decent script editor who's got the balls to stand up to these two very powerful men, especially RTD, and say, listen, take that back, will you? And just try it again.
They even repeat themselves on dialogue. They did the single room, the Luke single gag. They did Madonna before already, and they keep repeating gags as well. Is no one keeping check of what they've already used?
No, obviously not.
It's
so they just sit around saying whatever you've.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say written, because I don't actually think that process takes place. I think they just regurgitate. But they just sit around going, that's fantastic. That's RTD. Brilliant. You know, that's all they say. So there is no critique. There's nothing. There's no challenging. It's just brilliant.
Imagine taking a concept like the Time Hotel and writing such a bad story around it.
Yeah.
It's a great concept.
It was actually quite a good concept.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. I totally agree with that. I totally agree. I am now catching up with the chat, who's given us all these wonderful super chats. Thank you so much to you. I really appreciate it. Doctor Who Classic on YT, the Tube of Who. Full episodes on the main Doctor Who channel. And keep calm and carry on, ladies and gents. I think we're trying to do that. Absolutely. I think we really, really do. Dalek Lives Matter. I don't know if I can read this one out because the algorithms and everything like this, but you might think that we can possibly comment.
They'll be struck by lightning. That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
Oh dear.
That would be funny though.
It would be funny. Yes.
It's funny how Wallace and Gromit had no political message and the story was fantastic and got huge ratings.
Yeah.
And Gavin and Stacey, I believe, I haven't seen it, had no woke agenda or whatever you want to call it, no genders in it. It was just those two writing again and got them out. It's about time people started to realize the messages. We're over that nonsense. We'd never liked it. We don't want it. Just start giving us entertainment again, please.
There was genuine emotion in Wallace and Gromit as well, wasn't it? Let's be honest. You know?
Yeah.
One of the things I find really disappointing about the new era of Who, and this is maybe just me and maybe me just being weird, but you know how they have the companions? They're always from Earth now. It's like the companions always have to reflect us. Yes. And I actually don't want or need that in a sci-fi program.
Yeah.
I would quite like to see the variants like Adric, like Turlo, like Leela.
We don't Adric.
I know, but I have a soft spot for him. I do. I know a lot of people don't, but and the likes of Nissa and the people who are not from Earth, or at least had no close agenda with Earth.
Or historical character or something like that. Yeah, like Jamie Victoria sort of thing.
Like, for example, Jamie, Jamie, okay, it was from Earth, but it was from a completely different time period, and therefore really had nothing in common with current day people. I miss that mystery side of Who I really loved, and that's a bit that I think has disappeared entirely from it.
Yeah, I love this comment from Craig here, Craig Dunlop. James Corden got 3 times the rating of Doctor Who. James Corden,
He can't take all the credit, to be fair, though.
Right?
The Lex character.
It's a good one. That
very niche sci-fi, but.
Anthony Parkinson saying Wallace and Gromit should have been a massive boost for Doctor Who, but it did absolutely nothing. It did push them up a little bit, actually not huge, but it did push them up a bit. Stephen Braddock saying to us, Wallace and Gromit was a masterpiece. Me and my partner's family loved it. It even had really scary gnomes in it. And my partner said, why can't Doctor Who be scary like that anymore?
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
they've overused all the really good villains like the Daleks. They've been in it far too much.
Yeah.
And they've run out of ideas.
They haven't had any originality for a long time.
No, they haven't.
And they've always got to make them slightly pantomime-like, which is fine in a panto, but it's not fine in Doctor Who.
Yeah. No, it's true.
They actively steer away from being scary though now, because
they do. Absolutely, they do.
Yeah.
Well, this was so brightly lit. It was like Warriors of the Deep, wasn't it? To be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it was just as Robert Payne is saying here, script of old rope, literally. I mean, how are these people supposed to? How is anybody coming to this supposed to remember something that happened a year ago?
Lovely love.
Yeah. Honestly, for me, this just didn't hit home at all, and it was just another one. It was just another piece of nonsense that we had to get through here. How
long was that piece of rope that he picked up, by the way? Because it was just sort of like 4 or 5 coils round his shoulder, and he seemed to trail it for about 2.5 miles. It was just like, come on, this is just. I'm sorry, it's just absolute bollocks, isn't it?
It's like the Doctor of Everlasting Matches, Ian. You know, it can stretch as far as it wants to go. You know.
Also, what was the whole pumpkin spice latte?
I have no idea. That's on my list to ask you guys.
That really upset me at the very beginning. I was like, I don't like this. This makes me uncomfortable. It's just rubbish.
What was the point of him going around to all these various time zones with that? I do you in the chat know? Because I've got it down here to ask you guys. What did I miss there? Because I just do not understand what that was about. Was it just throwaway alleged comedy, or was it actually to do with the script?
He was supposed to be using it to make it look like he was a waiter or something, so he could nose around a little bit more.
But that was ridiculous, the way he was dressed.
It was stupid. Yeah, it was stupid.
I just didn't get that at all.
It couldn't have been coffee and biscuits. It had to be a latte, and it had to be, because it sounds twee, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It sounds, and they had to do it that way. But it was crap. It was crap. It wasn't funny.
No,
it wasn't.
I mean, I could have got it if it had been humorous.
The only ones that would love it are the ones that have those pumpkin spice lattes, because they'd see themselves represented in it. That's probably why it was.
It sounds revolting, Ian, I have to say.
I'm surprised part of it didn't. One of the ingredients wasn't soy, really, because that would have been very appropriate then, wouldn't it?
Well, that's certainly the new Doctor Who audience, isn't it? Because it's certainly not the majority of fandom, and it's certainly not the British public. Because here we are, it got less than last year's Christmas episode, which was a brand new Doctor episode as well, don't forget. It's got slightly more than the series, but it's Christmas Day. And it upturns towards the end when Wallace and Gromit is on after it, which went huge again. You know,
people are trapped.
People were watching. Yeah. At this point, I want to say a huge thank you to everybody that's joining us for our review of Joy to the World here, because it certainly didn't bring any joy to the world as far as I can see. But I tell you what can bring you joy to the world, and it's free of charge to you. Our brand new Whose Views Annual 2025 is available for you right now on our channel. It's there for you to download. It is free of charge. It's all for a bit of fun. It's there on the community tab for you, or on our Facebook page where the link is. Lots of fun. We all had a bit of a laugh putting it all together. That's what you're looking for. It's there for you right now as a little Christmas present from us to you, to say a huge thank you for your support this year as well. All a little bit of fun for you. But that's for you there. The Whose Views Annual 2025. There you go. Nice, that one, isn't it? Thank you all so much, everybody, for being in the chat with us. There are a lot of you in the chat with us, with a lot of comments. And, oh, goodness me, how are we going to get through them all? I have no idea. This happens every now and then, doesn't it, everybody?
It does.
Oh, God. Hello, Whose Views Reviews can I help you?
Yes, hello. Yes, I'm here to complain. I can't believe this YouTube channel. I really can't. It's the Christmas special, and you should like it. You absolutely should like it. And I can't believe you're sitting there criticising, moaning and whining about it. It's absolutely disgraceful.
Okay. Bye. Oh my goodness. Sorry about that, everybody. It does happen every now and then. They find the number, don't they, guys? And they just phone in. They really,
Yeah.
really do. I just don't know what
Crack
it is.
callers, nuisance callers.
Yeah,
I'm surprised you got a landline, JT, to be honest.
No. Sorry about that, everybody. Let's get back into this as well. You are all joining us in the chat. Lots and lots of busy. So busy. Thank you so much for joining us. It's Boxing Day. Happy Christmas, everybody. We've got everybody tonight and a few new people as well. So it's great to see you. Care Avon is with us. Hello, mate. I did hear that the Doctor Who special did about the same as the BBC flagship show EastEnders. Yes, it did. We showed that before. Care Avon as well. Stay with us very early in January. Blake Seven's on the way to this very channel. We'll be here to review episode 1, season 1. Whoa, stay with us on that. What else we got here? Magic Rope, says Lee Smith. Hello, mate. How are you? It was the same length as a piece of string, Ian.
That's
go.
it. That's what I was missing.
Atherstone 55 is saying, I'm late to the party. It does not matter. You got here. It's lovely to see you. Just got home from work. I was working Christmas Day on my birthday. Oh, well, yes. Happy birthday for yesterday. Hope you had a lovely day as well as a lovely Christmas day. Always remember, if it's somebody's birthday on Christmas Day, 2 presents, please. It's the rule. 2 presents. Don't mix it together. But at least I didn't have to watch the latest woke rubbish from RTD.
Lucky you.
Domgo is telling me that he was masquerading as a waiter. I didn't get any of that at all. I'm sorry. Perhaps if he'd been in a waiter's outfit.
Yes.
He stood out like a sore thumb.
Yeah. Macronon's also saying he's working undercover as room service.
Of all the times you need to change his costume, he doesn't do it. That's just incredible, isn't it?
He was, he was as convincing as a waiter as he is as a doctor, frankly.
Yeah. We've got here James Famuk. He stole an Everest expedition rope, yet in the last season pulled Sutek with a magic rope. Ooh, we'll move on. Was it just my mind? Mike Disney, hello, Mike. It was absolutely hilarious, probably. Where have I heard that sort of thing before, Mike? Absolutely. Oh, goodness me. Thank you so much. Mecronon also saying to us here that pumpkin spice is for Halloween, not for Christmas. And Mark Greaves, thank you so much for your super chat. Panel, please complete this storyline. Showrunner, script actor, casting, axe and guillotine. Well, it's, yeah. I think it's happening. I think 2025 is going to be a very interesting year for us all here on the show.
It's the fact, though, they had so many good actors in that last night. And
yeah,
they did, didn't they? They did.
I mean, the guy from Plebs is brilliant.
Yeah, he was wasted completely, wasn't he?
Trev, wasn't it?
Well,
and
I think they were all wasted, to be honest.
And it was really wasted. The guy that played the Silurian, whose name I obviously can't remember because I'm rubbish at names, but he's a really good actor as well, and not used.
I have to say, I'll go through these super chats, but I have to say I was very surprised by that. Dalek, thank you so much for your super chat. Thank you, JT, and your team for biting the bullet and suffering this nonsense for our entertainment. Well, thank you, Dalek, for your support and joining us as well, because it's not the same without you guys. And Lex, thank you for your super chat. It robbed ideas from Jurassic Park, Deep Space Nine, Groundhog Day, and Back to the Future. Yes.
Badly. Yeah.
Yeah,
yes.
badly.
Yes. Yeah. And did all the money go on the dinosaur and the set for the Time Hotel? Or was it the fees? I don't know.
What convinced me and Shudi's acting was it when he was trapped for the year and he was serving food in the hotel. I can see him doing that in the future, allegedly.
Again, it was just plot hole after plot hole.
Yeah.
And these actors have obviously done it just to be in Doctor Who, and unfortunately, they were given it. I mean, as I said before, I felt really sorry for Nicola Coughlan, who got all the press, and she's not the main companion in it. It's the other lady. It's Anita. I don't understand why you would do that. Why not write a character? Why not write a script based around Nicola Coughlan if you're going to get Nicola Coughlan? I mean, it wasn't up there. I mean, there were some parallels to Donna in The Runaway Bride. I thought it was about that, you know. Again, it smacked me of something very similar, just not as good. I don't know. Thank you.
It is a bit disrespectful to Nicola Coughlan if she's like banded as the main star and she's in it less than the girl who was Anita. But then it's also disrespectful to the girl who was Anita because she was clearly the second main character, and she didn't get that billing because of Nicola Coughlan.
Yeah.
So
very probably. I mean,
it should be one or the other, shouldn't it? To be fair, that's the thing.
They cocked it up twice, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just thought it was a very strange decision to make into the story, having the Doctor on Earth with this other woman for a whole year.
That felt like padding for an hour. It felt like padding.
Yeah.
It, really
It was
did,
just
you know?
dull. It was absolutely dull, as we've talked about before. John Mason is saying, please don't equate soya products with lefties. I've been vegan for 30 years and I'm far from left-leaning. There you go, Ian. Be told.
I think, yeah, nothing against vegans, although you are weird. No, they're not. But soy is a very accepted and widely used term for the mad lefties, isn't it? But nothing against our vegan friends at all. No.
Nothing at all.
Well,
We've got,
Ian, I thought there.
we've got the Peter Beckman fan site here saying, we're fans, we're supposed to criticize crap decisions. Absolutely 100% agree with that. And yet when I started to chat about this thing on certain posts and stuff last night, of course they come out. These people are absolutely 100%. Even if this was, 2-minute nonsense, they would defend it to the earth. They really would.
Oh, yeah.
They're the ones that were going to have to be there to actually help. Actually, no, bugger off. Next year we won't. They're the ones that are going to have this mental breakdown. It's going to be like the Take That. It's going to be like the Bay City Rollers, whatever area you're in. Wham! It's going to be like that again over this show, and I just don't think it's worth it. I really, really don't. I don't think Doctor Who is worth having your mental breakdowns for. Do you know what I mean?
Especially not now.
Well, no, not at all. The dinosaur effect wasn't that good, says Paul Thomas Ashworth. I've done better dinosaur effects on my YouTube channel. Well done to you, Paul. I must have a look at that at some point. That's very talented people we've got here with us. And my Rocco, nice to see you. I didn't watch the special. I had no interest in it. You didn't miss anything. And why do they call it special?
It should be Christmas underwhelming or something, shouldn't it? Yeah.
A little from the chat as well, a little off topic, define Boxing Day. Okay, well, this is a British traditional thing, Boxing Day, isn't it? Basically what it means is it goes back to the days when there were lots of boxes around. Apparently, that's how I remember it. In the oldie days in Britain, they had lots of boxes and they were getting together Boxing Day and do something stupid with them. Like
it should be called Packaging Day, to be honest. Yeah.
Probably.
Wasn't it when the gentry gave their servants their gifts in little boxes, and it was the day after Christmas Day?
Something to do with that, wasn't it? Yeah. I don't know. It's all defined. I can't remember.
To quote Paul, other stories are available.
Lots of them. But thank you for that, chat. And we've got here as well, Problem Being saying, it's a wonder they didn't dress Gatwa in a French maid's outfit.
I think that's episode 1 of season 2, I think, that one.
Yeah. Castellan Spandrex says he was working as a waitress in a cocktail bar.
And no, we don't want him.
And we've got here from Silver Wolf. Is the Christmas Doctor Who worth me recording, or was Wallace and Gromit better? I miss both. I listen, I'm going to be very honest, Silver Wolf. I'm not going to recommend any of the current Doctor Who to anybody to watch. No. It's embarrassing. It was boring. It was just insulting. We're going to come to one of the biggest possible, the biggest controversy over it in just a few minutes. It was just not worth going out of your way for, and it's certainly not worth spending your hard-earned cash in these very desperate times on DVD or Blu-ray. Don't bother. If you want to buy a Doctor Who, save up and get one of the proper Doctor Who's from the collection series. That's why season 7 on the way in the new year. From John Pertwee, the mighty John Pertwee. Get that instead. Don't bother with any of this nonsense. I mean, would you guys recommend it all?
No, not in the slightest. No. If you get that box set, and we have said this before in a previous episode, just like a week ago, you get that box set. You watch Spearhead from Space. You watch Inferno, Ambassadors of Death, or Silurians. You watch those. Just sit down, watch one in isolation, and then watch this shit that they put on yesterday, and tell me that's the same program. It isn't. Tell me that's the same character. It's not.
I mean, I've got all the classic and up to and including Peter Capaldi, and because I'm a completist, and I really, really, really struggle with this. I'm a completist. Yeah. I have not yet bought Whittaker, and I think I've finally decided I never will, because it's just too painful to watch a program you love so much.
Yeah.
Be treated in the way it was treated.
Yeah.
So
we've got a lot of love for Jill Fry here in the chat. Thank you for that. And Legion of James, thank you for your super chat. Here's a little something to go by, some AstroTurf to touch next season. Save your lawns. I've worn a bald patch on mine this year. Merry Christmas. Well, thank you so much.
Nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
We are. Well, God, We're going to have to, aren't we? After this yesterday, it's very obvious that they are very aware that Shooty Gat were told everyone didn't need to go and touch grass. That's what we've been doing. Legion of James, definitely. Maybe we should actually have sets, everybody, where we've got AstroTurf behind us. You know what I mean? And there's Silver Wolf coming back to us saying, oh, after listening just a few minutes, I think I'll give the Christmas Doctor Who a miss. I'll record and watch Wallace and Gromit instead. At least you might be entertained with that.
Yeah, very
honestly,
good choice.
You might be entertained with that because it was just nonsense. Robert Payne pointing out, and this leads us to the bit that I want to talk about now. Stand by your beds, everybody. Joy becoming the star was a rehash of Astrid Peth, the same glittery smoke effect too, almost the same dialogue as well as Donna had. I remembered instantly the Donna scene, go and find somebody, you need somebody, and the Astrid Peth scene. And that was the final nail for me as it panned away. And I remembered what we've been talking about on headlines on Sunday, the ending. If you haven't seen this, look away now because we're going to spoil it for you, if you can call this spoil. Because my favorite, or our favorite journalist, is back with a sensational headline, one that's absolutely caught my attention, and I'm sure it grasped everybody else's attention. Jodie, I think you saw it as well, but congratulations, and you're not often you're going to hear me say that, are you, dear? To Asaya Iftikhar. Woo! She's back, everybody. Yeah! So excited. Anyway, look at this. Steven Moffat. I wanted to give Tory rule breakers a kicking with Doctor Who special. Yeah. Now, if you're new to us, you'll know that Asaya, we've spoken about Asaya several times in headlines and on our season 1 of Disney Who reviews. She's a big fan. She loves it. And the reason she loves it, representation, everybody. It's the best thing for you. Yes. But look what she says about this. 7 years after his Doctor Who swan song, former showrunner Steven Moffat unexpectedly returned to the Whoniverse for Ncuti Gatwa's 15th Doctor era. Unexpectedly, please. After an acclaimed response, everybody, to Boom, he returned to screens for a Christmas special, Joy to the World, starring Nicola Coughlan. Yes, Spotter. The only thing I'd forgotten is how fast you have to start. Steven62 tells Metro about his return to the BBC writer's room. It took me 3 goes to get Boom started. But much like learning how to ride a bike, it took no time at all for the gears to click into place as he penned not 1 but 2 episodes filled with out-of-this-world threats, a quirky cast of side characters, and a race against time. No surprise considering Steven has written more episodes of the Doctor Who reboot than anyone, outpacing returning showrunner RTD and Whittaker-era boss Chibnall. And just how different is it to write for, say, Matt Smith compared to Ncuti? As Moffat says, it's different enough that the Doctor is now somebody else. Accents change. I think the Doctor probably glances in the mirror once he's got up and says, okay, right, I'm a grumpy old guy, or I'm a sexy young man, or I'm a beautiful woman. The objective is not to convince anybody that's a new Doctor. The objective is to convince everybody it's the same old Doctor with a new face. Otherwise, the kids will stop watching, he joked. He joked at that point. He joked at that point. Let's continue. So he baked in all the things we know and love about the Doctor, his compassion, tenacity, his thrill-seeking tendencies into the latest adventure which sees the 15th Doctor and Nicholas Joy team up to save planet Earth, also known as Business as Usual. I love the idea of Joy being Nicola. I love her in Derry Girls, and that sweetness, that kindness, that face just seemed to belong in the universe, he said about the Irish actor coming on board. Needless to say, a lot goes into making the special hit all the right notes. The Sherlock creator shared his aspiration. This is a big Christmas meal of a show. You want to leave them flopped on the sofa, wiping tears away. You want that big, full-on, in-your-face Doctor Who. And of course, I want them to then want to watch the next season. Oh.
That's going to work.
Oh, isn't it just? As the Doctor gets to know Joy alongside the audience, we soon discover she is harboring a deep trauma that has led to her spending Christmas Day alone in a hotel room. Her mother died on Christmas Day in hospital in 2020, and she had to say goodbye over the iPad due to, you know what, restrictions. It's a bold choice to make for the beloved family show, but for Steven, it was the best explanation he could conjure up as for why Joy was so angry. Human beings are very predictable, and what makes us sad tends to be losing a lover, but we felt that was just a little bit obvious, he explained, much like the rest of the series. What other universal, relatable truths are there? Well, a lot of people had the pain of an elderly relative that they couldn't say goodbye to. One eyebrow-raising moment is during Joy's cathartic monologue in which he blatantly criticised government members who were discovered to have allegedly broken the lockdown rules. I love how she writes allegedly broken the lockdown rules in heavy bold there. She makes sure that she can't get any more criticism or her article taken down again like one of the others we reviewed.
Did they not break rules, allegedly?
Here we go.
Yeah.
Moffat says it's not a jab, not to the government, but to the people who broke the law. Just to be clear, he reiterated, there's no political element to this. There are plenty of people in the Tory government who did not break the law. Plenty of them who are equally angry, equally furious. So it's not a political point. When people claim it's me having a jab at the Tories, I say, do you think Thatcher would have done that? And the answer is no, she would not. Actually, most of them would not have done that. It's the party of law and order after all. I think when people break the law and break hearts, and they can take a bit of stuffing for that as far as I'm concerned. I think that's legitimate and proper. He later added, it's the fact that we all took the pain on, but a few twats somewhere didn't, and they can get a kicking for that. One theme that has tied together Steven's run on the show is the villainous outer space weapons company Villainguard. I don't remember this, basically. Truthfully, it was to facilitate a joke about a banana and the empty child, and I didn't get it mentioned, and I didn't get it mentioned again until I was writing what I thought then was my very last one, he admitted. I thought, oh, I'll mention something from my first one to round it off, except this last one has now happened twice again. I just keep calling out Villainguard. I like the idea that there's a villainous organisation, spelled wrongly, some evil schemers out there in the universe that we will never see, an untold contest between the Doctor and some evil weapons makers, he added, which should quench the curiosity of fans. Although Steven left the showrun in 2017, Davis has set the precedent for a grand return after a long hiatus, so is it something he would even consider? Completely out of the question, he quickly rejected this idea. After that, though, I still think that this was a subject that should not have been in Doctor Who. What's it got to do with Doctor Who? Writer or not wanting to put it in there, please somebody try and enlighten me. Why was it there, and what's it got to do with this series?
Exactly. I think it's really disrespectful to people who lost people during the pandemic. I was lucky enough not to lose anyone, but my sister-in-law was quite poorly at that point. I mean, he lost her, but she did come through in the end. But it's just such an awful thing to put on Christmas Day. As Kirsty, I think, said, you don't want to be reminded of this. It's too real, you know?
I know quite a few people who worked very heavily in the health service during that period and have very, very traumatic memories of it. And again, I don't think it needs to be trivialized like this either and made in his interviews into a political point. I mean, I know he tries to row back a little bit and say it's not about, I mean, you know, he's saying not quite what her headline suggests, isn't he? Because he's saying not all Tories, and is even in a sense boosting Margaret Thatcher, who some people still say is a boogeyman kind of person to a lot of people. You know, people still go on about Thatcher stealing the children's school milk from 1975, but don't seem to be bothered about Keir Starmer killing your grannies. But, you know, Thatcher still has that thing, but he seems to be defending her there. But I think the article being political like that, it doesn't really focus on the fact that there were Lib Dems that broke lockdown, there were SNP that broke lockdown, and there was Keir Starmer having a effing curry in the northeast, and I don't give a damn what he says. He was there, and so was Rayner, and their story was an absolute alleged lie. But, you know, they get away with it because they were the up-and-comings, and see what they do now. But it's all Tory, and I'm not a Tory fan, but it just makes it all the more sickening. But
why is it in Doctor Who? Why
it shouldn't be. It has no place. It has no place. It has no place whatsoever. None at all. None at all.
I don't think so either. Thank you again to the chat for your super chat. Referring to the ending surprise, it's insulting. Being reminded it's been done before in other places, like even Xena, kind-hearted and fun. These days, they only want to tear down every cool franchise and belief. Yeah, it's something that we are now aware of fully, isn't it? I mean, that's what it's all about them. And this, for me, putting this in here, I thought it was totally unnecessary. I really did. And I just didn't.
Not every belief. They're not that brave.
Well, I don't understand the context and why it worked. So you've got that situation there, And this has caused, for those of you who don't know, here in the UK, this is starting to cause a controversy. This is something that could possibly carry on for the next few weeks because people have come out. The BBC is getting complaints about this. They're saying, no, that shouldn't have been in Doctor Who. You know, they're asking questions like we are. And this is not necessarily fans. In fact, it won't be fans.
Yeah.
No.
You know, this is people that saw it and thought, what? And bearing in mind, this is the end when they're actually watching Wallace and Gromit. Can you imagine if people had tuned in at the end of Doctor Who and went, this is Doctor Who?
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, it's embarrassing. But the whole thing put there, tying in that element there with the Joy becoming the Star of Bethlehem, which was predictable. I think we all knew it was going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hence Joy to the World and all that. It didn't make any sense. And I think it was just, as Moffat was saying there, I think it was a cheap shot. I think it was a cheap shot to try and get what they now think people want on Christmas Day, which is a bit of a bit of a cry.
Yeah.
Do we want that? I personally
don't want cheese. Stop being
definitely cheesy. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Like, it's Doctor Who. I don't think it should be cheesy. It was cheesy.
Yeah.
It was cheesy and unnecessary, and it looked forced. And I think again that whole script should have been sent back to him and said, try again and take these elements out.
Yeah.
Why can't they just do, as I've said before, a Doctor Who episode, a science fiction Doctor with a monster battle on Christmas Day? It doesn't have to have Christmas in it. It could be on another planet, whatever. Why do they always insist that it has to have a Christmas one, or he suddenly has to materialize around Christmas?
I also struggled with the whole fact they went for the loneliness aspect. I think there are people enough out there who are not having a great Christmas and are lonely. I don't think they need to be reminded of that with escapism television. I think that was just a bad decision. I'm not saying it can't ever be a theme, but I just think for Christmas it was a pretty insensitive theme.
I agree. I think it was, and I think because my personal opinion, because I know where RTD and where Moffat come from, I think it was just a case of, oh, we find this funny. This is our belief. We'll just because we've had this from both their eras. Whether you want to admit it or not, there have been things there in both their eras where look at how Moffat would get at Christianity throughout his eras, the monks and all this sort of stuff. Yeah. You know, but as Legion of James is saying to us here, would they work in convoluted twists involving another religion?
No,
they wouldn't. They don't have the balls. They do not have the balls.
No, they would never do that.
No. And some of them, they would allegedly have to go into hiding.
Yeah, if only they would.
Yeah.
I don't think there's an issue with their having the odd Christmas tree up or stuff like that. I just don't think they need to bring religion into it.
No,
we don't.
Or if they're going to bring religion into it, make it a sci-fi religion, like something that's like, you know, far divorced from any sort of earth religion. It's just not necessary to bring religion into this program.
I don't think so. No.
And I think that's another Americanization of it, if I'm honest.
Mm-hmm.
But we've said before, haven't we, about how the Satan Pit and the Impossible Planet did. They went there sort of with the devil, but they did it really, really, really well, and they didn't stir up any controversy. No. They left it as open-ended as they did when they went into it at the end. And the interesting fact there is that wasn't written by Chibnall, Moffat, or RTD. It was written by somebody from outside, one of those rare occasions where somebody else wrote it, which is probably why it was good.
Yeah, very true, very true. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us tonight, this Boxing Night. Merry Christmas to you all. Thank you for your comments. Got some great stuff from you all, as ever. So really, really, thank you so much. Paul Richards is saying it doesn't feel like the same old Doctor when he's acting surprised by everything and flirting with people. I cringe at all that. I always have since 2005 onwards. I've not liked it. That's not the Doctor. He doesn't flirt. He's an alien for heaven's sake. I've never liked it. This one, as we know through our coverage of the previous 9 episodes and all the headlines we've done this year, it's forced because of RTD's obsession with the TQ cult. And his obsession with having to push that agenda, which is basically fantasy and nonsensical nonsense. And it gets to me. But there it is. And I can't say it's not the Doctor. Just like this whole thing about putting in religion into Doctor Who. It doesn't sit with me. Jodie, I agree with you. I agree with the guys. It's not Doctor Who. We want sci-fi, for crying out loud.
Yes.
Sci-fi.
What entertainment would be nice. Yeah.
Give us a Doctor we recognise, no matter what his face is. Give us a Doctor we recognise, and give us the Daleks or the Cybermen or some big bad new monsters would be brilliant. You are putting yourselves into a grave, and I think 2025 is the year that they will come back now and say, no, the deal's off, no more after this.
That line that Moffat quoted about writing the Doctor so the kids don't leave the show. He's not written the Doctor for such a long time. They don't seem to recognise the character at all. So go back to look at classic Who and see where the Doctor was, who he was, and make that the Doctor.
But the fact is, he's saying that he wants people to join into the next series, and they don't want the kids to leave. Too late. They've gone. Doctor Who is old news now. The only people that are keeping it afloat now, people like us who are reviewing it to be tortured, and also the small minority of weirdo, label-loving, pronoun-using, freaky fans that you've got there. That's it. That's all you've got. That's not going to last you 50 years, I'm afraid. And as I think I said in the last series, who's going to go back and watch all this nonsense in 50 years' time? Hartnell, Troughton, Pertwee, and Baker will still be out there. I guarantee you in 50 years.
But do you remember the criticism when Matt Smith was cast? They were saying there's no way he can carry off because I think he was 26 or something. He was something ridiculously young. And they were saying there was no way he could carry off the gravitas of an alien character. But he did Alien. He did it.
He was brilliant.
And that's what I miss. I just feel when I'm watching Ncuti or Jodie, for example, it's like watching someone try to act like an alien but coming over as someone that's from Earth because they've got too many Earth-like habits and beliefs and
language.
And language, yes, exactly. Like fam. I just like I don't like it. I don't feel the Doctor would use modern colloquialisms. And that's just strange. It's just odd.
That was
he never called anyone Huddy in this episode, did he? Which is interesting.
No, but he was crying though, wasn't he? Three times, according to one of the papers. So it was that was the charm of our Doctor, the fact that he was an alien.
Yes,
and the fact that he was more confident, I think, than this one. Do you know what gets me annoying about the fact that the writing here for Ncuti is so bad, and his performance isn't brilliant? But yet, occasionally, I see signs of an actor.
Yes,
just occasionally. You know, just those little moments, sometimes with a look or something, like the scene I was talking about before, where he's in the TARDIS. What was it? What was it? What was there? What was there? What was there? You know, not quite there, but it was on the way. Had that been in series one and it built, it just frustrates me. What a waste!
I just don't get the impression he's as emotionally mature as Matt Smith was at his age.
No,
I think Matt Smith saw the role as an icon, as something that had to be done right, and it had to be done in a certain way. I don't feel that's the case. I feel Matt Smith probably did sit down and watch Classic Who a bit. I do feel
apparently
that.
He did, yeah.
I don't get that impression with Jodie and Ncuti. I just think, I'll just do it all the way I like, which is
Jodie didn't. Jodie was apparently told not to, which is unbelievable.
Yeah, she should have not listened. That's where a good actor goes by their own. You know, if I'm doing, I'm not trying to be funny, but if I've done some classic musical theatre roles, and if I do the classical musical theatre role, I will watch the different people who played that, and then I will take bits from each of the performances that I liked and try to emulate. I can't come close, but I try to emulate them, because sometimes you can get a quirk that somebody thinks, that reminds me of such and such, and that gives them a sort of nostalgia thrill, and I just feel that's what previous people did, and that's what's totally missing from these performances. They're just not there. They're not there at all. There's nothing reminds me of past Doctors in Ncuti or Jodie. Nothing at all.
Not at all.
I think we're all agreed, though, now that this isn't Doctor Who anymore. It's not even the same character.
No.
They rewrote the character in Chibnall's era. It's not even that. As I've said before, RTD had one job to do in 2023, and he's mucked it up. All he had to do was reboot it. And go back to where he was in 2008 and give us proper science fiction, proper adventure, proper enjoyment, proper entertainment, something that anybody from any political walk of life, anything at all, could sit down and watch. He hasn't. He's given this to a minority audience and expects everyone to love it. What an absolute idiot. And I just can't stand this. It's just so clever. It's just not clever at all, sorry. How can he say, says James Footmuck, talking about Moffat, it's not political, and then say people didn't follow governmental rules? What a melon. I have to agree. And this is, I'm going to bring this up now as well, because Robert Payne is very kindly with us in the chat now. And Robert has said to us, first Christmas since my mother died. Oh, look, a scene in Doctor Who of a mother dying.
Yeah.
Robert, you know, we send you all our best and support and everything like that. It's not very easy, but I totally get you. I know you were not alone. A lot of people last night and this morning, from what I saw on social media, said the same thing, Robert. And that's what annoys me as well. Thinking, actually, that's not going to be easy for any of us, whether you've been there or not. That's horrible.
This is not a soap. It's not EastEnders. We want escapism.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah. And how dare they do that? And especially to Doctor Who fans that might have been in that situation, like our friend Robert, on Christmas Day. Moffat, what the hell were you thinking? You absolute tool. Sorry about this, everybody, but I'm so annoyed at him for that. And when this came in, I thought, what the hell is this about? Honestly, Daryl is with us, everybody. Daryl Joyce. Hello, Daryl. Nice to see you. I thought Moffat said at one time Doctor Who shouldn't be taking political sides. I seem to remember more than one party broke the lockdown. It wasn't just them, was it? It was. I mean, those rules, when you look at it now, are going to go down in history as being extremely questionable. He says being very, very charitable.
Ludicrous, allegedly.
Yeah, you know, and at the time that we got wrong, I personally feel everybody got it wrong. But to bring it into Doctor Who, I still can't quite get over that they've done that, to be honest. I really, really can't. Ridiculous. But thank you for joining us, Daryl. Nice to see you. What else we got here? Lots of chat about this, everybody in the chat. Lots of people talking about this particular thing. Killbot says it was unnecessary, has no place in Doctor Who. Dalek Eye is saying to us, Doctor Who should be about escapism, adventure, and hope for humanity, not a reflection on the dreadful realities of the real world. Here. And that's what original Doctor Who does so brilliantly. It takes us out of that's the whole point of the time tunnel and everything as well, wasn't it? We're going into the Doctor's world.
Yeah.
Taking you out of this awful world we were all in. Julianne. Hiya, Julianne. How disgusting trying to point score on a family show at Christmas. This insight into the personality of Moffat and RTD makes me want to burn everything to do with Doctor Who from 2005. Again, a lot of people were saying that last night. I think this is going to harm season 2. Coming soon. Well, it's May. They say coming soon. It's May. Who's going to be around then? Do you know what I mean?
I think even if this episode was part of the season 2, it'd still be inappropriate, I think.
Yeah. And as for that trailer,
I
mean, what wasn't a trailer? That was a clip fest. And did it whet your appetite too, viewers?
I quite like that animated character coming out of the screen, although that's been done lots of places before, but it's quite nice.
Well, Mrs. Lisa Pertwee saying the TV license is so outdated and should be abolished. The BBC will be celebrating the fact it did very, very well yesterday with all the shows. What it thinks is well these days. It's not the 27, 28 million that Morecambe and Wise were getting, though. Well, do you know what I mean? But times have changed. Yeah, we have got a bit that. But they had a lot of complaints from Strictly onwards. I mean, Strictly's in trouble after that one yesterday. The drag queen did win, as we said a few weeks ago. The rumor was the drag queen would win, and he did. You know, he did. And then
the drag queen won from the moment they were announced.
Of course, because it's the BBC. George is saying there, thank you, George. And George is asking us, have we done scores on the TARDIS doors yet? Not yet. We're coming up to that shortly, so stay with us. And the chat again, thank you so much. Funny thought, panel does best there. Best get me crying impression, because that's who the Doctor is. That's what they've said. Russell T. Davis said, if you don't like him crying, tough, because there's more to come, because that's who he is now. So who wants to do some Gatwa crying impressions for the chat there?
Oh, I don't know.
There you go.
Beautiful, I have to say. Yeah,
I can
10
do
out
it.
of 10 for that.
And the only emotion I could get into that.
It's mine for you, the chat. They don't like me. They won't touch grass. They don't like me. I'm going to get sacked. I'm going to like it. There you go.
Well, I reckon he's going to regenerate crying if he gets a chance to regenerate.
I think
hopefully he won't.
Yeah. So hard he regenerates.
Yes.
I could give you a different kind of emotion, because I've just noticed Leeds United have gone 2 goals up now, but I won't, because that's, you know.
We've got this one from Hugh Janus. Merry Christmas, Hugh Janus. Nice to see you. Speaking of Jodie, why was Whittaker included as a regen option when she wasn't in the Doc's original allocated and apparently predestined regeneration? So obviously that is a referring to the War Games in colour, and we're not going to talk about it on this show. You're going to have to come back, because we are.
That's another abomination.
That's another story, a totally other story. we will be back to talk about the War Games in colour on the other side of the new year. So stay with us. Please like, please subscribe, do all the stuff you know. But Hugh, thank you for that one. You're going to have to come back, my friend. We have a lot to say about that as well. Okay, so that's all coming up. TARDIS Travels is saying to us, season 2 is going to flop. It already has.
It is.
Yeah.
It already has. I tell you, it's already gone. Rumours are, says Paul Rose, that the Daleks are returning in season 2. Get ready for another icon to be destroyed. They're not. They're not. Season 2 was filmed more or less the same time as season 1. There's no way they could keep the Daleks under wraps. That would have leaked. And also, don't forget, the Daleks are hugely problematic right now.
I think people have speculated there's a shot in the trailer where you see looks like the Dalek City and some ships. That could be anywhere, you know. But
I see. Is that where it's come from?
I think so. Yeah.
Right. Big hugs to send out to Enspiel as well. Again, Moffat. What an idiot. I lost my mum this year, and that moment was a thump to the heart. It had no place in Doctor Who. It didn't. And thank you, Paul, for this super sticker. Let me just check which one this is. Okay. Jodie, Paul often gives me some super stickers here because they amuse me. And I don't know why. But yeah, because I'm from the 80s and the 90s, I suppose. Thank you so much, Paul Thomas Ashworth, for that one. Absolutely. I love it. I love it. I love it. If you are new to the channel, we have this thing, excuse me, on all our reviews where we do something called scores on the TARDIS doors. This is on proper Doctor Who or the new Doctor Who as well. We did do it throughout season 1 of Ncuti Gatwa's first season as Doctor Who. This is what we came to. There were 5 of us on the panel, all marking out of 10 each. So 50 marks. Space Babies got 3.5. The Devil's Board got 4.5. Boom got 21. 73 Yards got 29. Dot and Bubble got 19. Rogue got 6. The Legend of Ruby Sunday got 25. And the Empire of Death got 6. All out of 50. Absolutely shocking. We will be coming to that to see what the panel and what you are going to be talking about very soon, because we're going to be doing scores on the TARDIS doors as part of this. Thank you for that, bringing that up, George. At the moment, though, we do have the results of the ratings game. Now, if you were with us for our Christmas show on Sunday, I asked everybody that joined us on the on the panel what they thought the overnight would be. Obviously, it got 4.11 according to the BARB and the press release from the BBC this morning and Lizo's tweet. This is what the panel said on our show on Sunday. Kirsty went for 1.5. Ian went for 3.3. Paul went for 1.7. And mine, Paul. Emilio went for 3.6. George went for 4. And I went for 2. So a huge congratulations to our George, who will get a Who's Views pencil.
That's a fluke, I'm telling you.
I know he doesn't watch the thing. He just guessed.
Yeah.
He just went, oh, before, because it's Christmas. Oh, before. And then he went off and had a drink. But yes, there we go. So well done to George. He gets a Who's Views pencil when I can be bothered posting it to him. And in fact, these days, it costs more to post the bloody pencil than it actually does to actually make it pencil made. Absolutely ridiculous. Royal Mail, what are you doing? I sense another drama coming on one day. Yes, but if you are ready, you can now start putting in. Actually, should we do the wokeometer first? Let's do the wokeometer. If you're new to us again, we have the wokeometer. The wokeometer is a fabulous bit of AI kit that was built for me by my uncle Sydney. It's over there in a bucket. Yes, we've got lots of it here. And every year on this new version of Doctor Who, we bring out the wokeometer and ask it to watch the episode, listen to what we've all been saying, and then it judges how many out of 10, how many points it gives it out of 10 on the wokeometer. Let's see what Joy to the World gets for the wokeometer. Are you ready, Uncle Sydney? Crank it up. No, I don't want that, thank you. It's a butterbean whip. Just leave us. Right, push the button. Here we go. Let's have a look and see what it says. Oh, okay. Oh, it's gone for a 6, everybody. 6 out of 10. So obviously, it's thought that whole thing about the coof was tying into something. I don't know what you all thought about that, everybody, but there you go.
I thought it would have been higher than 6, but there we are.
I was expecting more, with the overt sexist references, mansplaining, and talking about relationships and all that other crap. I thought it would have possibly been an 8. I'm surprised there.
There we go. Right
Does
now,
it need a service?
Sorry?
Does it need a service?
It probably does.
Just hit it like that.
Have a look at that, Sydney, will you, for the next
Or
series?
switch it on and off. That always works.
I was going to say, switch it off, then on again.
Bit of oil.
Well, switch it on and off and have a look at it. But it's not when you look at things like Rogue and stuff and the drag queen one.
Yeah.
In comparison,
It was broken on those two, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. It is now time for you in the chat, everybody, to start putting out of 10 your scores in the TARDIS doors as we run the VT first. Yes, so here it is. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this evening. It's time now, goodness me, to put in your scores from the TARDIS doors. We've got another one here from the chat. Nice to see you. I don't know what that's about. Write it down. I'm not blowing another fiver to ask it again. What was that about? Have I missed something, guys? I hope not. The chat has been doing very well tonight. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Paul Bowler, hello to you. I expect the Gavin and Stacey finale blew Doctor Who's ratings out of the water. It did. It got 12 million overnights for Paul for the for Gavin and Stacey.
3 times as much. That's quite scary, isn't it?
Don't forget, it's always what they say to us. It's always going to be the iPlayer views that are considered. So if Gavin and Stacey got 12.32 overnights without the iPlayer, and Wallace and Gromit got 9.38 without the iPlayer, what's it going to get with?
Exactly. Yeah.
Stay with us here on Who's Views. We're going to be looking at all about that on our next versions of the Headlines show. We've got lots of it coming up for you. Okay. So I'm going to start with Paul. Paul, your scores on the TARDIS store out of 10, please.
Right, well, I have a confession to make. I watched it twice because I had a few sherries at Christmas, and I thought, was it as bad as I thought? And I watched it again, and it was. I'm going to give it, like I said, my wife and I watched it, and we'll never give that hour back. I'll give it 0 out of 10. It was awful.
There you go. There's an honest score on the TARDIS door there. Jodie, what are you going to give Joy to the World?
I'm swithering between 1 and 2.
Oh, she's been generous, isn't she?
Generous. Yeah, I'm being generous because it wasn't Space Babies, which that haunts me, Justin. No, that episode really haunts me. It's not funny. It's really bad. I'm going to go for 1.
A 1 out of 10. The score on the TARDIS door. Wow, this thing is not doing very well. This is a real miss. Third Doctor Ian, what are you going to give Joyless to the World? You're on mute.
Sorry, too much coughing and spluttering.
Yes.
Before I do, Garbage dropped me a message. I don't think we did miss this, actually, because I thought we'd mentioned it, but the Hugh Janus one was... speaking of Jodie, why was JW included as a regeneration option when she wasn't?
Yes, we got that one. Yeah, and we're going to be, as I say, we're going to be coming to the War Games in colour soon after New Year. Stay with us. We've got,
and we will refer back. We will refer back to Hugh Janus, won't we?
We will. Well, I'm sure he'll be with us anyway because he's come and talk to us about. I want you all here. Come and talk to us about that. Go on then, Ian.
Member of the family. For me, it wasn't on a. It was on a sticky wicket anyway because it irritated me literally from the first scene, and I had a little bit of a whinge with Paul online shortly afterwards. It's like that first scene outside that hotel in Manchester. You're seeing Manchester being bombed to blazes, and knowing Manchester, all those bombs were probably causing thousands of pounds worth of improvements to Manchester as everyone rained down. And you see in the middle of a street a searchlight. And it's like, I'm sorry, but they didn't put searchlights in the middle of streets because exploding buildings tended to break them. The searchlights would tend to be a little bit out of town where they weren't getting bombed and stuff. But this searchlight was panning all over the place, including down onto the building. Now, when there was a bombing raid going on, there was a blackout. So the Germans up there didn't know what was down there. They didn't need knobheads with searchlights going, oh, look, there's a building. Bomb that, please. It's that stupid lack of little attention to detail that just irritates right from the off. And in the background, you could see tracer bullets going up and everything. And again, you know, it was anti-aircraft artillery. It was big effing guns. It wasn't bang, 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 little bullets and all that kind of stuff. It irritated me right from the off. So I wasn't going to be very friendly. So half. 0.5.
Half.
Yeah.
Sorry?
0.5, half.
A point half. Wow.
Are
Okay.
half marks allowed? Did you want to check on that? Are they?
Well, I don't know how to add them up, but if you
Okay.
want, you know what I mean?
I'm quite happy to round down.
Oh, go on.
All right, then.
Perfect.
Nothing.
Before we go to you in the chat, I'm going to give you my score here. I thought this was more utter tripe. I'm going to say it. I didn't think this had any place being on Christmas Day. I don't think it had any place in the Doctor Who arsenal. I don't recognise it as being Doctor Who. It is certainly not worthy of that beautiful logo, which is a hangover from our Doctor Who in the 70s. I think it's a bloody idiot, quite frankly. I have no idea why RTD and Moffat are there. I think this should be got rid of immediately. I would like to see Doctor Who off the air because of this thing, as well as the last 8 episodes of it. I didn't like any of that stuff going on about the Bethlehem thing. I didn't appreciate that. And I certainly didn't appreciate all that stuff about Joy's mother. I thought that was too near the knuckle. And here they go. These people are trying to be clever. You're not clever. I'm sending you a big message. Nobody likes you. Nobody cares. Get off. We want the show back. Thank you very much. However, we do have season 2 on the way. And gosh, yeah, we're going to be here to talk about it. Let's see where that one. This was one of the most boring bits of Doctor Who since the last bit of boring Doctor Who I saw the other month. It's getting a 0 from me. Absolute waste of my time. 0. Let's get into the chat and see what you're doing. We've got James Vermuck, which I think he's saying about 7. Are you?
7. Okay. Right. Okay.
Clarify that if you want to as well, because I'm not sure if that was there. We've got Garbage, 0. Lex, 0. Did not enjoy this episode. Really offended this Christmas story. Enjoyed the Star of David, also known as the Star of Bethlehem. Please, no more RTD. Bring back the Wilderness Years. They are on the way. They are on the way, I tell you. Carwin, 3. And those points are for making Timelash look like a masterpiece. I would watch Timelash any day over this nonsense. I guarantee you.
Yeah.
Mark,
Phil's going to phone at any moment, I can tell.
It had pencil, didn't it?
Yes.
I'll take the phone off the hook. Mark Littlewood, hello to you. Mark is giving it 2. Bill is giving it 0. Joe Parker, hello to you. 0. John Mason, didn't see it, didn't need to. 0. John, 0. Anthony Parkinson, 1. It's like the football results. Killbot, kill. 2. Robert Payne, 2. Only because I had a laugh at Joy floating in the air. Did she? Oh, yeah, when she turned into a star. Paul Rose is saying, I didn't watch, so I can't comment. Well, you can if you like. We don't care. We're not that fussy. TARDIS Travels, 5 out of 10, mainly for the sets and effects. Lee Smith, -10. Mrs. Lisa Pertwee, from the few minutes I watched, 0. Paul Richards, 1 out of 10, 1 for the laughs. Oh, there you go. Doc Martin, 0. Matthew Pounder, -1. Alison Stevenson, it was brilliant. It's must-see TV, great entertainment, but that's enough about Wallace and Gromit. As for Doctor Who, 2 out of 10. Alison, you had me going there for a minute. Ron Sapp is saying it's an 8. Thank you. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. We've got here as well, Graham, 0. Absolutely no redeeming features at all. Add to this generally upsetting, offensive and disrespectful scenes, and it's a score it so richly deserves. I totally agree with you. The one funny thing, says Daniel, is don't be filthy. Well, I don't know. Don't know where that was. Thesis Sigma 199. Hello, nice to see you. 3 out of 10. Very generous. Well done. Stephen Braddock. I didn't watch it, but it sounds terrible. And I'm very annoyed with Moffat as I lost my wife to that thing in 2020. So disrespectful. Again, Stephen, we're with you. Joy is the Star. It just sounds like a big pile of S word. Don't know if you can say that anymore. 0 out of 10. Gemma Wilson is saying, for the 10 minutes I could stand watching, 0. Rose Kirby, I think it only deserves 3 out of 10. Thanks, Rose. Hope you are well. Mike Disney saying to us, -infinity out of 10. Please stop. There's a lot of us saying that. Paul Thomas Ashworth, 2. That's 1 for the opening credits and 1 for Millie appearing briefly. We didn't mention that because it was so brief. Who cares? Quite frankly. I think it was a token thing. I think it might have been put in after all the brouhaha last year to say, no, she's still part of the series. She's back in series 2. I think
it looks like she's working for Unit, though, doesn't it? Which is interesting.
Yes, looks like it. Oh,
they've got a massive budget, haven't they? So.
Shock. I know, yeah. Kate seems to just go along saying, "Oh, you've been with the doctor, you'll know about things." Please.
Yeah.
I mean, crikey. Oh, I'm so tired of this stuff, and we've got another 8 to go. Hopefully, I'll all finish this year. What we got here? Legion of James, based on fact, is of no interest to me. Therefore, I didn't watch it, so it can only be a 0. Mark Greaves, 0 for total lack of respect. The chat, thank you for this super chat. I think I said that though, didn't he?
I think we've had a couple more of the same value from the chat as well about Hugh. So there's multiple again. But
thank you though, everybody. Silver Wolf, a minus scores allowed, and I didn't even watch it. -5. Yeah, okay. What's this? Komodo, hello. Jesus is considered to be the joy of the world because he brought joy to the world in many ways. The woke lot are anti-Christ, are anti-Christian. A lot of them are. We can't deny that. Somebody's going to hate me for that, but it's true. Gavin and Stacey was once, twice, 3 times the ratings of Robert Payne. Enspiel, it would have got 3 for me, but with the last 10 minutes, it makes it a 0. Julianne, 0. Peter Venkman, I live across the pond and didn't bother to touch myself, but this guy will never be the doctor to me. Thank you, Peter Venkman. Hope you are well across there. What we got here from Problem Being, I didn't watch it because it's not Doctor Who. I am not remotely interested in this guff, but knowing it's completely anti-Doctor Who, I will give it a -10 out of 10. Philip Roy is saying 5 out of 10. Christmas episodes are usually piffle, so it gets a little leeway. I think very generous there, my friend. Really did.
There has been a few good ones, I have to say, though. This one wasn't. Yeah.
This one just wasn't it. Yeah. This was the lowest rated, overnight rated Doctor Who episode in the UK. And I think it's going to be down there. You know, they don't include the Jodie Whittaker ones because they're not new Christmas ones. So they're Christmas. Daryl Joyce saying, didn't watch it, but I'll give it a 0 for ruining your festivities. Oh, we wouldn't allow it, that one, Daryl. Oh, not a chance. And by the way, don't forget in January, this thing starts from Daryl's calendar. Look at this. Yes, that's on the way. Looking forward to that, Daryl. Dalek Eye is saying to you, I refuse to watch any of this incarnation, but from what I've heard, 0 out of 10. Oh dear. What have we got there? Kerr Avon is saying Stacey beats Doctor Who. Well, the show was cancelled, or the Christmas special anyway. You have TARDIS Travels. TARDIS Travels saying to us, gosh, I've been generous. You really have. Domgo, compared to Space Babies and Rogue, 10 out of 10.
Yes.
Komodo, 0 out of 10 because 0 worth rewatch. I haven't rewatched any of this stuff and I never will. Watch it once for this show.
I think that's the big problem though, because everything previously I would rewatch. Well, not Jodie, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I rewatched Doctor Who a lot, and I wouldn't rewatch any of this.
No, what's the point? If you don't enjoy it, don't buy. Once is quite enough, and I can't even retain much of the information about it. It's just ridiculous. If it wasn't for this show, if it wasn't for this series we're doing based around this nonsense, you know, and all the headlines it gets, I wouldn't, Joe. You know, Lex Kane, thank you so much for your super chat. Awful, boring teaser trailer for 2025. I'm sure it wasn't supposed to be. You know, I'm sure they sat there thinking, "Oh, this is going to get them excited," and then nobody turns up to watch it.
It's about exciting as the last one they did for season 1. You know.
Yeah. Well, we also had one from Kirsty as well. Before she disappeared off to work. God love her out there tonight. Let me just tell you what Kirsty was saying to us. Kirsty was feeling very generous, and she gave it a 4.
Oh, I am surprised.
Give it a 4. Yeah. So thanks for that, Kirsty. Mike Disney's saying, yeah, very generous. Absolutely. Stephen Braddock is saying to Mrs. Pertwee's girl, give me the 3rd Dr. Pertwee any day to this latest dross, which leads me to tell you a little bit of a lead in. Stay with us in January. Very excited about the stuff we've got coming up for you in January. If you're a 3rd Doctor fan, Who's Views is where you're going to have to be. James Famuk is saying 2 out of 10, 1 for Joel Fry and 1 for Nicola Coughlan. Fair enough. I think they were all wasted, though, as you guys were saying earlier in the chat. Such nice names in this, given this diabolical, weak script. And then I couldn't believe it when they started bumping people off in the first 5 minutes. I was like, hang on a minute, what's this about? What's going on? And then you get all this waffle for the rest of it, don't you?
And in the end, they didn't die, which is like really dull as well. You know?
Yeah.
There's Lost all over again.
Yeah, they never do they now?
Silver Wolf is going with a 0.1. Thank you. Lee Smith, -10. What else have we got here? Stephen Braddock saying to us this. I thought the Doctor didn't like time meddlers, so how come he had no problem with the time hotel and all their time violations? Great point. Great point. Yeah, if you're sending people back in. Oh, gosh, my headache's going. David Gulvin, nice to see you. 3 out of 10. Being alone does always loneliness. Yeah, it's same old crap, isn't it, really? The chat is giving it a 0 as well. And Atom is with us. Hello, Atom. Hello all. Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah to you. I'm driving. I've been out for the last hour. I've been listening all the way. Thank you so much. The special was horrible. It was anti-Christian. It was absurd. 3 out of 10. Thank you for that, mate. Drive safely. Mr. D, welcome to his views. Anyone think Whittaker's Nudger went to the Time Hotel? Tragic, poor imagination, the Nudger. Haha, I don't understand what that is. Is that what is that something to do with her era then or something?
I don't know.
I don't know. Don't know.
Okay, well, thank you for that anyway, though, Mr. J. 0 from Mark Milford, our resident poet laureate here in Who's Views, for making a show we don't recognise with topics we're not interested in for an audience that's not there. Exactly. Their audience. Paul Schluster, hello, nice to see you. It's a 3 from me. Thank you so much. What else? Any more for any more? Scores on the TARDIS doors. Yes, we've got Pikehead 1. 5 out of 10. I like Tanita and the plebs geezer.
Yeah.
He's quite good though, isn't he, that plebs geezer?
He is good, yeah.
He's a nice little actor.
It wasn't the same when he left plebs.
Yeah, well, yeah, imagine if they cast him as Doctor Who though, Jode.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because it was really interesting because I really liked plebs, and when he left, it was nowhere near as good.
No, it went downhill a bit, doesn't it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I really thought he'd have more relationship with the Doctor and last a bit longer because they're quite a good dynamic together. Yeah,
I just liked the character, and then I was like, they've gone. Right,
yeah. It was a bit silly.
Brief.
The whole thing was silly, though, wasn't it? You know.
Yeah.
Lee Smith, thank you, mate. 8 more to hate. Yes, I know. Please don't remind me.
It's like I can't be bothered with character development at all. It's just,
No, it's just wham bam. Thank you, man. Isn't it getting it all out there? Charles Mento, 3 out of 10 or 4 out of 10 or 5 out of 10. Shooty is great, though. Moffat is and always was awful. I wish I could agree with you, Charles, on the Shooty thing.
No.
It's not pushing my buttons. I do not see the Doctor in him at all. I really don't. We've had 9 episodes now. 10. Is it 10?
Or 10 and a half, or 10 and a quarter if you count the giggle.
And I don't see it. I know it's mainly down to the writing.
Yeah,
my mum kept going sadly all today. He was really good in sex education.
Yeah, well, but this is what I've been saying recently. All I'm seeing sometimes is Eric in space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree. And I would really like to see him in something else to see that he can be something else.
Well,
because
he can't,
to me,
because he's doing a show in London now on the West End, and it's all Camille.
Yeah,
I'm not convinced.
So really, you think he is just Eric?
Well, he's playing in The Importance of Being Earnest, as we've reported on headlines, and they've turned it into a production, and they've really gone over the top with it, and it just doesn't sound like art.
A one-trick pony, really.
Well, that's, you know, I don't know. He did do that war thing, but I couldn't be bothered watching that. You know, where he played a pilot.
I missed that.
Well, I think it was on Netflix, but I couldn't be bothered watching it. Hugh Janus, 0. I saw it coming and thought it sucked. And Dalek Lives Matter, 0 out of 10. I didn't feel like I was watching Doctor Who.
No, I didn't feel like Doctor Who.
You weren't. You were not. The chat is saying 0. Thank you very much. Forbidden Man, 0.1, and I didn't watch it. TARDIS Travels thing, I'd say just spare a thought for the people working behind the scenes, putting the episodes on it.
Yeah.
It was disheartening for them. Well, we've mentioned them on the previous series, didn't we, when we did all the reviews of that stuff? I mean, they're doing good quality work. It looks nice.
A lot of talent there, yeah.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. Sheila B. in the Devotions is with us, saying 0 because it was a total non-event. Totally. What else have we got? Any more for any more here, everybody, in the chat for the scores on the TARDIS stories? And we're going to call it.
Not a score, but did we get Lex's super chat?
We did. Thank you. Yeah, we did. Thank you for that, Ian. Julie Wendy, I've been full of flu the last few weeks and would rather have this all over again instead of this nonsense. Well, I hope you get better soon, Julie. Thanks for joining us. Nice to see you. Gary Hewitt is saying War Games in colour was brilliant. More, please. Okay. Um, oh, Gary, you're going to love our review, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And Atom is saying to us, I give it 3 out of 10 because of the production staff. They deserve the credit. The showrunner, writer, and acting were not there. I'm sure they didn't give Shooty a room service outfit because it's not a skirt. Yeah, I know. Apparently, he's wearing a kilt in the next season. Didn't look like a kilt to me, from what I saw.
Jamie wore it better.
Yeah, he certainly did.
Well, Jamie,
The bits he's in the war games, obviously, yes.
Yeah. Oh gosh, lots of love for Time Lash suddenly appearing. Don't forget, we have got our Time Lash review from beginning of December. Therefore, if you want to go back and see it, Entertainment Creators with us as well. Scara was in the season 2 season. Oh.
Like I said, people think that's a Dalek City that's in the clip, but I don't think it is.
Yeah. The chat does calculations with all the minuses 0. Listen, we're not surprised now. When we started looking at them, the chat, and getting the scores on the TARDIS stores for Space Babies onwards, we knew that this was going to be a terrible series because the Gatwa season, in the year that we had been going at that point here on this channel, were the first episodes. And this was brand new Doctor Who. They were the first episodes to get 0 from ourselves on the panel and in the chat. It was all there. So this is no surprise to us now. We're used to this now. Daniel Raven is saying here, Joe, never thought of Fry as the Doc, but I think that could work.
Yes.
Probably not now, to be honest.
No,
Well, maybe 5 years' time.
Maybe. Oh, look, Mr. D is saying the Nudger was in Rosa. Obviously didn't leave a lasting impression. I never watched that. I never watched the Whittaker era. I refused. Call me a sexist.
Was he the space racist person? Is that the person they mean?
The white space racist. The white male heterosexual space racist.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay, well, there you go. Is that what? Oh, ridiculous, isn't it? Chat is also saying Capaldi fell asleep regenerating, had a dream. I think we're all dreaming about that one now, aren't we? It would certainly, a reboot would certainly help this thing. And Pikehead 1 is saying to us, apparently Series 2 might be having a straight white male character in it, allegedly. Shock.
Not a chance.
I doubt that.
Not unless they're playing a body that's already dead.
Or a villain.
Yeah.
We've got a new chat member here as well. Hello to South London Reseller. Blame on the writing, not on the actor. There were some moments in the episode last night. 7 out of 10. Thank you so much for that. We really appreciate that. We just didn't see them. From my personal point of view, as I've said here, the writing is atrocious. And yes, I know an actor plays to what he's being told to do by his showrunner, as we used to call a producer, and his director. But I just don't see any. I mean, if Shooty wants to play the Doctor, he needs to get on with it. And I think he needs to. It's too late now. He's gone. He's finished. He's done his second series. But let's see what happens in the next series. Let's see if it improves there. But I just don't see him as the Doctor. I just don't get it. Sorry, South London Reseller. Don't get it.
There's no time for him to change at this point because it'll just be more of the same. Yeah.
Well, he won't, and because they filmed it all together as well. I kept saying it a couple of years ago. It's dangerous doing that. It's complacency.
They're so set on their route. There's always that comment about how slow it is to turn an oil tanker, but I think this is more like a freight train. It's on a rail. There is no means of turning it round in another direction.
Ian, this is to carry your boat analogy. This is the Titanic we're talking about.
Or a train wreck if I stay on the rails. But I mean, they are just going in one direction without the ability to change, and it doesn't bode well, does it?
No.
We've got some here. Stephen Braddock says, I reckon JT may get his wish with an episode under 1 million. It's on the way. I can see that coming in season 2. Gatwa isn't an actor. He's an overglorified nightclub cabaret act, his problem being, allegedly. And Carwin is saying Gatwa regenerates from dehydration as a result of so much crying. And Lex Kane is saying to us, the best thing at Christmas from Doctor Who was the Christmas video message from the legend that is Tom Baker.
Yeah, that was superb. Yeah.
I don't think any of us are going to argue with that particular one. I'm calling it now on the scores on the TARDIS stores, everybody. Thank you so much for that. Wow, what a show. Yes, we're back to it. More of this on the way. Blub, 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 blub. Season 2 comes to BBC One, iPlayer, and Disney Plus in May. We had it on headlines. Russell T. Davis did say it's going to be May. So there we go. Wow, thank you so to everybody that's been joining us during the show tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, a huge Merry Christmas to you. I want to say thank you to Paul, to Third Doctor Ian, to Jodie, and also to Kirsty for watching the thing and coming to join me on this tonight. Wow. See you in May, everybody, as we do it all again. Oh, yes, stay with us. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. If you are not new to the channel, please make sure you are still subscribed. We have got lots coming up for you. This Sunday, join us at 8 o'clock UK time for our headlines review of the year 2024. That's all going to be there for you. And next week, we'll be back with more to do with Joy to the World. We've got our Blake 7 Season 1, Episode 1 review coming up. January the 2nd on the channel, live at 8. That's Blake 7 Day. For those of you who don't know, that's when it all started back in 1978. So it seems appropriate. So yes, we'll be here with hangovers galore. If I know this one down here. Yes. That's coming up. And as I say, if you're a Pertwee fan, and let's face it, who isn't a Pertwee fan? You're going to love what we've got coming up for you in January as we celebrate 55 years of the Third Doctor. Great stuff coming up for you. Thank you so much for joining us from all of us on the panel. We'll see you again soon. Have a great rest of your Christmas. Take care. Stay safe. And until we do see you again, don't forget Sunday Headlines Review. Watch out for that. Ciao, everybody. Bye-bye.
Good. Bye-bye.
Bye.